Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Felis Mengus, Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Vitali Z, Colton James, BG, Effie Patriot, Thomas van der Zander, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Mere in the Shire, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Jason Hornsby, JMals24, Unimento, Iron26, Endless, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Chow Young Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Links to Patreon, as I say, are below this video. And with that, I will hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
So I wondered, in practicality, if I wanted to go to my snooker table and then measure the shadows on the balls, I could calculate the curvature of the table and be able to make better shots.
Yeah, that's a refracted curvature idea. So he managed to measure the curvature of his kitchen using the light bulb. Do you remember that? Same principle. But yes, that's exactly correct. You're saying you did it in a facetious way, right? You're just doing it to be amusing.
Oh yeah. I said that after I improved my game of snooker, knowing what the curvature of the table was, I did it on the football pitch as well, and now I'm scoring more goals.
Well, football pitches do have a certain amount of relief. That is to say, they need drainage. So when people assume that a football pitch is completely flat, it isn't. It does have relief. Bet you didn't know that.
Not modern pitches. They have drainage underneath. That's why if you ever see the edge in a game and they fly off the edge of the pitch and then fall down a 2-foot ditch that is just where they've raised the pitch up higher and higher.
Oh, right. So that's obviously changed since the days of me going to see football matches back in the late 90s and early 2000s, because I haven't been to I did. I went to one with my dad when he was very elderly, a Blues game, but they had a very old pitch. So fair enough. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, they have under pitch heating for in case it snows and all sorts.
Oh, right, okay. I suppose when it's Premiership games, there's so many millions on the line and so much gambling going on that they want the game to go ahead, hell or high water.
Yeah. So but next time you see it, you'll see that they can slide off the pitch and then they go down this steep incline. It's like little drop off at the edge of the pitch where they've raised it so much to put all this stuff underneath it.
Right.
Hang on, got to get the phone.
Yeah, no worries. Hello, people of Discord. Yoda, Jardo, Steve, and Vaxi.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning, Nathan.
Morning. Are you privy to me and Craig chatting about going for a curry?
No, I didn't hear that. I just heard the football.
That's the only bit you were interested in, eh?
No, I just got on. I just woke up. I'm waking up, getting my coffee right now.
Right, well, good to have you all.
Yeah, it should be a good day today.
Oh, every day's a good day to have a curry.
What is a curry?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like Indian stew, essentially. With like rice.
There's very little Indian about a curry here in the UK. I mean, there is to a certain extent, but
Like when I get one, I'll just get like chicken tikka masala or butter chicken. They call it curry, but it's probably not Indian at all here either. It's not hot, that's for sure.
You guys got to go out to make it. My wife just makes it home.
So, is it what is it? Soup? Is that what we call American soup?
no, I mean curry here's it's like a gravy more than anything. Gravy with bits of chicken or meat or whatever in it. Hot sauce, but it's what you think of as sauce is dribbly and thin, like a really thick sauce.
Almost like chili. Like a chili sauce.
Yeah,
like
kind of
American
like
chili,
yes,
like
that would be
beefy.
the consistency. Yeah, that would be the closest thing. Yes.
Yeah.
I got lost. I couldn't find a restaurant.
When?
Last night when you went for chili, right? I mean, for
We're going
curry.
tonight.
That's why I couldn't find you.
Because usually I go down to Craig's at about 5:30, and then he shuts up about that shop that is about that sort of time, and then we'll hang around for an hour chatting, and then a couple of other people arrive. Then we'll go for a curry about 6:30. But I won't have a car, and I know I can't afford an Uber. I don't want to pay for one, so I want to drive down. And my wife's taking the youngest to her higher up lesson, which is now later in the day on a Friday. Not that this is particularly pertinent to talk about now, but you know what I mean. But yeah, we'll go tonight.
Too spicy in case your gallbladder gives up.
I think that's actually a misnomer. So they've checked me for gallstones twice and said that there aren't any. So as much as the original doctor thought I had an infection in my gallbladder, she gave me a load of antibiotics. That's cleared up, but the pain is very much there, still in exactly the same place. So the most recent scan said that I got a fatty liver, whatever the hell that means. But they still don't know what's wrong with me. So they sent me a sampling kit. I won't tell you. You can imagine. That's arrived yesterday, so I need to do that today. And I've just been in and out of doctors and hospitals. So I don't know. I'll hopefully find out what the hell's wrong with me soon. Not sleeping isn't helping. I mean, it's not making me more ill. I'm just absolutely exhausted.
No, not sleeping is not good for your health.
No, it isn't. Certainly not good for my skin, covered in spots and scabs.
Sleep is overrated.
Fair enough. It is until you want to drive somewhere any significant distance. So I didn't go to one of the lessons on Tuesday with my eldest daughter. So I didn't take her to an art history class because I'm just too concerned that I'll run the car off the road.
That's when it's not overrated, when you got to drive.
Yes, exactly, Neil. Well, one of those things that you think, well, if your friends are having severe accidents on long distance journeys in a car after not sleeping enough, then I don't really want to do that.
And there is nothing worse than freaking driving when you're tired.
Yeah, I used
There's
to do it all the time.
nothing you could do to stay awake. There's nothing. You just got to go to a hotel and go to sleep.
Yeah, I never did that. Back in the day, I'd drive, when I was a rep, I used to drive all over England, well, all over this island, full stop, England, Scotland, Wales, tired, and all over Europe, tired. I was always tired. But back when you're 20 or in your 20s, early 30s, you can do that. As you get older, you just can't.
Yeah, I agree. When you're younger, you could do that, but it sucked when I was like, because I was the only one that drove, and we'd be driving somewhere, and I just freaking my eyes would just be closing. My wife would be smacking me, trying to wake me up. Then she'd start a fight because I would swerve into another lane, and she'd start yelling, and that would wake me right up because then I'd be fighting with her. I wasn't sleeping; I was wide awake. Freaking guy cut me off.
Yeah, I remember when I was a couple of years after first learning to drive, and I'd be out partying for days on end without any sleep, still driving around.
Yep. Didn't affect you then when you're young. Definitely did
Right.
not affect you. I think the change happens around 35 to 40. That's when the change comes, and you can't do those things anymore. At least for me, it was.
Yeah, about the same for me, I would say.
Me too.
Right about
I
the time.
did.
Right about the time I
I
started
did
doing
shift
this.
work.
Sorry, Jado, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Me too. I did shift work for 10 years, day, afternoon, nights. Really crappy shift for 10 years. And it's only when I was driving home one day and I woke up doing 360s on the grass median strip in between the freeway that I realised that it was probably time to give up the shift work.
Right.
I could freaking understand that. That happened to me a few times.
You just don't think it. Life seems so much cheaper when you're young, which is stupid the way around, isn't it? You know what I mean?
But when you're younger, you have no kids, no responsibilities, so it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I suppose.
You know what's funny? On that same day that I woke up doing that on the way home from my night shift, on the way to work, I was late. So I was doing like 145 in the 100 zone. And I flew past this police officer that was sitting in the side road. And I thought, oh, God, here we go. Should I just pull over and yield? Or I'm like, nah, if I make it to the next roundabout, I'll fly for the roundabout and there's a dirt road. I'll flick down the dirt road. And just as I hesitated and got to the roundabout, I looked in my rear vision mirror and there was the cop right behind me. So I don't know how fast they were going because I was doing about 140.
What was the end result? They got you?
140 kilometers an hour.
140 kilometers, per hour, yeah. Yeah, I had to hand in my license.
That's
the
only
next day.
90. That's about 85, 90 miles an hour.
I do that all the time.
I was going to say that's standard fare here. You're not keeping up with traffic if you're not doing 90. You know, on a British motorway, people are flying down it. On a German motorway, if you're not doing over 100 miles an hour,
Yeah,
then
you're in
you're
trouble.
holding people up. They're bibbing
Yeah.
and slapping their lights in front of you, up behind you, to get you out of the way. So yeah, you've got to be doing a hell of a speed in especially in Germany. I remember once in the S4, belting down the motorway, but I was fully loaded, overloaded in fact, and I had the boss with me, and he was egging me on to go even quicker. And we were doing 120 miles an hour easily. And there were still people coming up behind us, flashing their lights to get out of their way. You know, they want to be doing 150. Like, they're ludicrously quick in Germany.
That's the way it should be on all highways. I'm sorry. Because then you're not going to have any traffic problems. When you got everybody doing 55 or 65, hello, there's going to be congestion.
Maybe.
Nathan, think about it. If there is no speed limit You're going to be doing 140. The other guy's going to be doing probably 120. Another guy was doing 90. Where's the buildup going to be anywhere? There's never going to be a build. Is there traffic on the Autobahn? I've never been there.
Yeah.
You've probably been there.
Yeah, it's quite treacherous. If you get an articulated lorry pulling out in front of you and you're doing those sorts of speeds, then it can get quite dangerous.
No, I'm saying, is there traffic on it?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
There goes my idea out the window. I always thought because of the speed limits, that's what caused the traffic.
Nah. Accidents are what cause traffic. People getting in each other's way and then crashing cause traffic.
Rubbernecking, too.
Yeah, to a
Nosy
degree.
people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did you see my shorts video?
I haven't. Where'd you put it in? Has to be?
I didn't. I just posted it online. Do you want me to post it in one of the chats?
No, I'll look at it later. If you want to, you can, but what is it about?
Rhetoric measuring Earth flat.
Come to speak about. Let me talk to you about something with the sextant. I'm going to read something, and you tell me how you answer it.
Okay.
Okay, you're probably going to figure out who. But, you see a sextant to create a horizontal datum from which an angle can be measured. That's it. It has no other function. Whether that datum is created while it stood on a football, on a rooftop, of a skyscraper, on a rolling boat on the waves, or any examples you can think of, it has diddly squat to do with the surface you are stood on.
So why were they using one to build things with it then? I don't follow. That makes no sense. If you want to call it a datum is a reference point, surface, or axis used as a standard for making measurements. Surface, if you're making an elevation angle, is the surface of Earth. That's what elevation is. That's what you're using a sextant for, an elevation angle. An elevation angle is a horizontal line and a line up to the object you're measuring, either a celestial item or the top of a building, whatever it is you're using for your measurement. But part of the measurement is the surface level.
So, does the sextant measure anything at all about the Earth?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it measures elevation angles quite specifically. So you're measuring elevation angles. So if I define it, target elevation angle between the horizontal plane and the line of sight measured in the vertical plane.
It's
Hold on, just let me give you another one. Tassadia. Altitude angle, otherwise known as elevation angle, is the vertical angle between the projection of sun's rays on the horizontal plane of Earth's surface. It's quite specific. That's what you're measuring. Is that Bev?
right. So a sextant basically it's measuring, right? It's measuring an angle between two visible objects.
Just
right?
tell him to go and look up what an elevation angle is. Just reply, go and look up what an elevation angle is. What's elevation mean? Is it from the middle of nowhere? Is it nothing to do with the surface that you're measuring and navigating so you don't die? It's just an idiot. Either an idiot or a shill.
No, don't say that.
Well, why would you deny what you're measuring when you're measuring an elevation angle, specifically with a sextant, and say it's got nothing to do with Earth's surface? You're navigating the frickin' surface. But he wanted to deny it. But that's very shilly. Why? Why would you deny it?
I think because he's not understanding. I think he's overthinking it. He's a flat earther. All right? Because
Yeah, so he says.
I said, are you serious? What are you using this sextant for? To find out where you are in the sky?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's nothing to do with the surface. Are we just navigating random empty space, are we, dickhead? No, we're navigating the surface. That's what we're doing. We're measuring and navigating the surface. What are we doing with the elevation angle? What are we trying to establish at the end of the horizontal line, Neil?
What's that?
What's at the end of the horizontal line below the star you're measuring? What is it that you require? Ground position. GP.
Yeah, GP.
Sorry, ground position. Nothing to do with the ground. You just want to slap his dumbass face, don't you?
All right.
Ground
Easy
position. Nothing to do with the ground. Wanker. Dumbass. Idiot. We're measuring for a ground position. Ugh. He's just thick.
Yes, Anthony is just thick. Please stop calling him names. I tried to get through to him. I said, look, Anthony, are you serious? What are you using it for? Then he says, you use this section to create a horizontal datum from which an angle can be measured. That's it. It has no further other function. I said, measured on what? Earth. Where is the angle you are measuring, Anthony, if you are on the ocean? What are you measuring?
Sorry, it says here, I've just looked it up. Right. In surveying and geography, a geodetic datum is a reference frame for locating positions on Earth.
Yeah, I see. That's where I think the disconnect is. I think it's phraseology. But that angle that you're getting, it's going to be on the surface. And I'm so confused at how people can't get this.
They don't want to. They want it to be a ball. It's a belief. It's a religion. People are very dedicated to their religion, especially if they don't realise they're in one.
Here's the final thing. In the same way that the map is not the terrain, the created datum with the sextant is also not the terrain either.
So you won't find your way with it then. So if it's not the terrain, then you won't find your way home. Yes, the terrain isn't the map, meaning that the map isn't what you're walking on, but you're utilising mapping and navigating tools that aren't the terrain to navigate the terrain.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said it proves it's flat. It's measuring an angle between two physical locations, Anthony, and the angle that angle can't be got on a curved surface. That's the point.
But you said it was Bev.
No. This is Anthony.
I asked, is it Bev? And you said yes.
No, I didn't.
Oh, I
I
thought
said
you
it
did.
sounds like that. I said, that's why I'm telling you, stop calling names. It's Anthony.
Ah, fair enough.
Take it all back. I think he's overthinking it. That's what the problem is. And that's what I said to him. I said, Anthony, I really think you're just overthinking it. You know damn well what we're saying. That angle that you're getting, what is it on? What are you navigating?
Right, do you want to hear this?
Yeah.
Do this edge on with my location in Florida, and I will do the same while being edge on with her location in California. However, the first thing we need to do is
Sink to your knees and acknowledge how flat D is going to be when you measure Earth flat with a horizontal, linear distance measurement for your trig here. Rhetoric.
find the distance between us. Lucky for us, the distance between us is known by, you guessed it, using the fucking tool on Google Earth. With that, we now have the value of D, which is 2,351.81 miles.
2,351 flat Earth linear miles. Rhetoric measures Earth flat. It's the only way Earth can be measured. Well done, Reds. Earth's flat. We checked. That's it.
Yeah, see, that's another one. They don't even realize what they're saying.
Yeah, it's a perfect case of rock and hard place. You either acknowledge how flat and linear and horizontal the distance you are using must be for your trig with a right angle triangle, in which case you accept on your knees that Earth is flat, or you deny his D measurement as being horizontal and at 90 degrees. therefore not functional as a measurement. So his measurement fails. That's the hard place. So you got no measurements. You don't understand trig then. You don't know what's required for this to be a triangle and D to be functional in the trig you're using. It fails because it's not straight. Well, then you're an idiot and you don't know how to use your own trig that you're suggesting because you need it to be a right angle triangle with D being a horizontal linear distance measurement. Oh, what's that? You do accept that it's a horizontal linear distance. Get on your knees and accept how flat Earth has just been measured. The reason I'm looking at Reds is because I woke up to find a load of messages on a video from about 10 years ago where I'm showing my setup here in this lounge and generally this apartment. So you see my bedroom, which I'm filming, and then my wife comes home, walks in, turns on the projector, goes and makes a cup of coffee, then sits down and watches a bit of TV after masking off half the screen so that it's square or 4:3 for a TV show, right? That's it. That's the video. In the video, for a couple of frames, I'm filming the bedroom, and there's loads of sex toys in there. Why? Because we have a lot of sex. So there's a lot of sex toys. So Rhetoric's gone to this video and highlighted all of these to his audience and then told him, the audience or them, to go to me and say, look at all this in your room, you dirty man. I'm like, are you kidding me? Reds is telling you to come and highlight how good my sex life is. Yeah, I've got a really good sex life, thanks. Meanwhile, Rhetoric measures Earth flat. But you want to point out how good my sex life? Okay, fine. No worries. Yeah, I'm married with 2 kids. Is it because Rhetoric's never actually kissed a girl and he needs to show me as an example when talking about people's sex lives that he doesn't obviously have? Otherwise, he'd use himself as an example. But for whatever reason, rather than discussing the subject of how Earth gets measured, he's decided to focus in on how good my sex life is.
Well, no kidding, Nathan. That's what the whole thing is. They can't prove that Earth is a sphere, so they have to prove that the people that are proving Earth is flat are flawed.
By flawed?
Right? So,
how is that a flaw? How is me having a sex life a flaw?
It's not, but in his mind, he could show people this and he can make you out to be a degenerate.
A degenerate for having a sex life and producing 2 children? Is he nuts? What he's saying to me is, I am an unfuckable golem. A bit like Dave McKeegan. Now, I don't know, maybe Rhetoric just goes around wearing a ring and pretending he's got a wife, pretending he's got children, so he can get a chance or a sniff from an ugly chick at a bar that's that kind of person. I don't know. It might be the case. I have no idea. But why would you think that attacking me based on me having a really good sex life is something that people are going to look down their nose at? No, it's just him going, well, I've never kissed a girl, so obviously people who go around shagging women are degenerates. No, it's what we do to make sure that we don't die out like Rhetoric probably will.
See, that's a violation because what a man does with his wife, that's between him and his wife in the marriage bed. So he's not comprehending that at all. But like I say, he's trying to character assassinate you.
A great character assassination. Look at this guy. He's getting laid loads. Okay. Yeah, I am. yeah, that's not untrue.
Look at this guy. How dare he?
How dare this guy have a versatile sex life? My wife's chuckling away. She's doing stuff in the room while I'm saying all this. Sorry, hun. It's just the way it is. She's not in the slightest bit bothered. She's just looking at the crayons.
I put a video of Master B. I don't know if you want to review it, but there was some guy in a chat yesterday said, yeah, I want to see you guys debunk this video. So I haven't even watched it. I don't even know what it is.
Well, then I don't want to. If you're going to suggest something for review, I need you to have looked at it in the very least first. Otherwise, it just ends up being.
Craig looked at it.
Craig looked at it.
Yeah, he responded to it.
Okay, but is it a good video? Just look at it over the weekend. There's going to be.
Neil wouldn't know. No, it's not a good video, dude. It's just another Eratosthenes video about shadows on sticks.
It's about Aristophanes measuring Earth flat then.
Yes, mate.
So they think that throwing up a flat Earth measurement with sticks and shadows is a good thing to throw at us. Debunk this. Okay, what's to debunk? He's measuring Earth flat.
What throws me is there is some kind of concept in someone's head that a stick here on the floor casts no shadow. A stick miles away over there casts a shadow, therefore ball. I can't get like the link there. I don't understand.
Neither do I. It just, obviously a couple of sticks or wells, depending on who you ask about the story, in their mind means ball. I mean, fair enough. They're told it means ball. People don't have a brain.
Yeah, Dad was saying in the chat, like, if you looked at a snooker table and the light was directly above one of the balls and it cast no shadow, and you looked over to the other ball across the snooker table and there was a shadow, therefore it's a ball-shaped snooker table.
Yep. They're measuring elevation angles. We've defined it already. Yeah, Aristophanes measured Earth flat, and they think it's a good blow proof. It's just bonkers, really.
I really struggle to see the connect, like the bit where it goes, you know, where the thing twigs. We use that word, oh, you've twigged. There's no twig.
No. But if the narrator says, this is how it's done, and then the maths is too complicated for their pea brain, and at the end they get a conclusion, therefore Earth's a ball, in their mind, that's a job done well for them. Good enough for them to hear the conclusion and say, I understand the conclusion, ball Earth. Okay, what about the flat Earth measurement used to achieve it? Do you not recognise an elevation angle? No, obviously not.
Why is it titled When You Take a Flat Earth Seriously?
I don't know.
Because he's making out like he's humouring flat earthers and taking their rhetorics for truth, and then says, and here's why it doesn't work. And you're like, what?
It doesn't work because when we measure Earth flat and then calculate a sphere with the flat Earth measurements, yeah, you're stupid, flat earthers. Yeah, well done. Idiot, whoever he is. What's his name? I'll just credit him by name.
What, the guy that recommended the video to be debunked? Or the video creator?
The video creator.
Oh, I don't even know.
Physics Explained, you mean?
Yes.
Right. Well done, Physics Explained. You're using flat Earth prerequisites like everyone, always, and without exception. Earth can only be, and is measured flat in your example and in all examples. Well done, you measured Earth flat.
All right, I think I understand what's going on here. Is it possible, Nathan, that remember how, this was all before us years ago, and we used to just skip right by it? Perhaps if we could get them to understand and pay attention to what they're doing right at the beginning, maybe they'll comprehend.
I don't care if they do or not. I'm beyond that now. Seriously, do you want to convert him? I understand when it's your son. Fair enough. But beyond that, who cares? If this guy wants to believe he's on a ball and doesn't want to recognise how flat Earth is being measured, then that's not really your problem. It really isn't, Neil.
Yeah, but you can't. When two things are being held up against each other, you can't just bypass the most important part that proves the other person's point. I mean, you have to be able to see it and comprehend it. Like, you can't just whistle past the flat earth that you're using as soon as you open up the argument. That's not even an argument.
Well, exactly. There is no argument. And this whole little magic trick of telling people that you can measure Earth exactly how it's measured, that's flat, and then calculate sphericity with that flat measurement, that has served well as a magic trick for people to believe that they're on a ball for, 200, 300, 400 years? That's how the tricks worked, and people want to believe they're on a ball. when measuring Earth flat with elevation angles and converting those flat Earth prerequisites into sphericity. It's like, okay, I mean, you can do whatever you like.
Yeah, that's been my point for a while now. Nobody on Earth has been on Earth from the history of when Earth was created has ever made an observation from a sphere. You've been told that you're on a sphere, and you think that every observation you make, every measurement you make is on from a sphere. But you can't say that because every observation you've done has been on a flat plane. You can't deny that.
What's going on? That small discrepancy lit the same thing did not happen. At the exact same moment, a vertical stick did cast a shadow. So what's going on? That small discrepancy lit a spark in Eratosthenes' mind. If he could measure the length of the shadow in Alexandria, he could calculate the angle between the stick and the sun's rays.
So we're measuring Earth flat then. Vertical, you say? A straight line for an angle, you say? Yeah, that's a flat Earth prerequisite elevation angle measurement, though, isn't it? What an idiot. So ignore the fact that you're measuring Earth flat. What about the distance between Cyan and Alexandria? That's flat, horizontal and linear. These idiots don't realise they're doing it, Neil. They just use flat Earth measurements and then suggest they're on a ball. Idiotic.
What was their means of communication at this time?
Oh, who cares? Why would you focus on that? It doesn't matter. The story's probably completely made up, and you can pick flaws in how they communicated between the two. The actual story is he did it 1 year apart.
And then, by combining this angle with the...
Angle? You don't get an angle from a ball, dum-dum. What an idiot. Right, that's all I need. As soon as he measures Earth flat, I'm done. I'm out. You proved Earth's flat, dum-dum. Well done. What's his name? Physics explained. This isn't physics, it's mathematics. Idiot. Why are you looking at mathematics and calling it physics and then utilising a flat Earth prerequisite? That's flat Earth angle measurement off surface level with things that don't exist on a ball, like vertical. Oh, my God. Don't use our stuff. Don't measure a flat Earth and suggest that you're on a ball with it. Certainly don't produce a video that's indicative of why you'd take flat Earth seriously when you're measuring it that way. Complete dumbo.
Yeah, see, those observations he was taking on a flat Earth. Nobody's been on a ball and taken observations from a ball. And it drives me crazy when they say, well, on a globe, this is what you would see. How do you know?
But it isn't what we'd see, it's what they measure that matters. And what they measure is a flat Earth. So it's like, well, you can say till you're blue in the face that what we see on a globe is X. But then you measure Earth flat with an elevation angle and that's game over. Because without that measurement, you don't have anything to infer your sphericity with. So you require Earth to be flat to imply sphericity. But what's the measurement? Because that's the arbiter of the truth here. How it is measured. Not how you calculate after measuring it flat.
No, I agree, and I 100% I agree. But I'm just saying, it drives me crazy when they say that. Because nobody's ever been on a ball to say, well, this is what would happen if you're on a ball. And on a flat Earth, this is what we see. Yeah, because the Earth is flat.
No, what they do is they use both examples with flat Earth measurements. I've seen Rhetoric, as we're talking about Rhetoric today, doing exactly that. As in, here's how the angle works when we measure Earth flat. This is how it works on a ball. This is how it works on a flat Earth. For the flat Earth, we get a close and local moon. And for a globe Earth, we just have to insert a little r and bend the flat Earth prerequisite elevation angle measurements we've measured. And then we get a very distant... You've just measured Earth flat in both instances, though, haven't you? You're taking angles. You complete bonehead. Rock and hard place. Either accept your measurements of a flat surface level, or don't. I don't care.
Yeah, whistling right past it. Once they say angle, elevation angle, anything like that, it's game over.
Yeah, here it is on screen. It's like it whistles on by day after day after day. But this is why we have to be so heavily censored, because we ruin the magic trick, don't we? We show that there's a bird in the cage and one off stage. So we ruin the magic trick. The magic trick is use flat Earth measurements to suggest you're on a ball. That's the magic trick. It's been that way for hundreds of years. Why? Well, because you still have to measure Earth and navigate Earth, unless you want to deny that it's the surface that you're navigating. That's the hard place, isn't it? No, it's got nothing to do with the surface. Okay, so you're not measuring and navigating the surface then, because you say it's got nothing to do with it. Okay, well then we're not measuring the Earth's surface. Why are you even measuring it at all then? What are we measuring for then? It's like, what are you talking about? Oh, well, surveyors, they're measuring a datum and it's nothing to do with the surface. So they're not going to be building on the surface then. I mean, they are, but we obviously need to measure it flat and then ignore it and not say it's anything to do with the surface when we measure it flat. Because that destroys my religion. So we're not really dealing with the surface till after we've measured Earth flat. Then we're dealing with the surface.
You know what I do have is, I do have the video of AI and his, what do you call it? The pitch data. I have that if you want that. It's time stamped at 9 hours and 22-minute mark. I think you would enjoy this though.
Really? We covered it yesterday.
No. We didn't cover it yesterday. We didn't cover him. This is his voice on it now.
But we covered it extensively for an hour at the end of yesterday's pre-show with Brian. He says they suggest that horizontal is with respect to a ball. Brian's gone through ascent and descent and horizontal as a reference for the angle that the nose is pitched up with respect to for the duration of straight and level flight, and ascent and descent. Now, those axioms are measured, so it's not an argument. There you go. I just gave you the full summary of what we discussed for an hour yesterday. We don't need to hear him.
Yeah, but I see what he tries to do. He tries to confuse people with all the technical nonsense that you read about in the fine print, you know? And he tries to, like, intimidate a flat earther from proclaiming pitch data.
So he doesn't want flat
weird.
earthers to proclaim nose up with respect to horizontal because he goes through technical data. So, I don't know, beyond addressing an individual for their very shilly behaviour against what is just a very simple raw data measurement of Earth's surface for the plane to fly in straight and level flight above the sea level, all of which is noted on those measurements. No, I don't want to address an individual. That racist shill can just get lost. I don't care. Obviously, I don't want to completely draw a conclusion to any conversation that we might have today by saying no to that one thing. But I'm just not in the mood for it. We covered it yesterday. I'm not interested in hearing what he's got to say. Obviously, that has now killed the conversation, though. So, well done, me.
Well, I mean, two things I broke, I shot down. I'm trying to figure out something else.
It's Friday. Everyone should be excited for the weekend.
No, I know this is how I'm going to go about it. From now on, I'm going to give it to Refracted. Then you'll play the video.
You think if Refracted presents it to me, I'm going to have a different attitude?
Absolutely.
I don't think so. I have played the first video, though, haven't I? I did play it. I mean, all I did was put it on without any audio until visually I see a flat Earth measurement being made. Then I'll just press play with audio, and he talks about an angle. Not with a ball. Now, do I need to find the bit where he talks about the distance? Because that's going to be horizontal. Not really. We already know the story of Eratosthenes, so we can point out how Earth is being measured flat with that particular rhetoric. Now, again, you can say, oh, it's only a very small distance. Okay, so you're saying Earth is measured flat locally. Yeah. That means it's a big ball. No, you're measuring it flat. I don't care how locally you think you can justify. It is still measured flat, though, isn't it? And the answer, unless you're obfuscating this question, is yes. Yes, it's an angle off the surface level, or it isn't an angle. Back to rock and an hard place. Oh, so it's not an angle because actually the surface is curved. Okay, well, you haven't got a measurement then. Oh, you're okay to accept that you are measuring the surface level for an angle then. So you are measuring Earth flat then. Okay, so we measured Earth flat then. That's the end of this discussion.
You know something? I'm starting to agree with that. From now on, any video that comes, once they use our stuff and we catch them in it, that's it. Video's over, game over. We don't even review it any longer because they use the flat Earth. I like that.
Exactly. So today, the reason it's all echoey is because when I woke up and I'm like, oh, what are all these comments? First thing I do, go through my comments. It's a pain in the arse now because of the way YouTube has structured their comment responses in YouTube Studio. Nevertheless, I wake up and you hear the music. I get the blurry eyes. I look at my comments and I go, oh, what's this? People talking about sex toys? What's this all about? So then you realise, oh, okay, Rhetoric sent me. Rhetoric sent me. Is that why they call you Sergeant Pepper? What are you babbling on about? So then you go to the video and you're like, oh, okay. You point out that I got a sex life. Okay, well, while I'm having a dump, it'll take me about 10 seconds to find Rhetoric measuring Earth flat, won't it? And that's exactly what I did. Took me no time at all to find Rhetoric measuring Earth flat. It was really easy. I did it before I could taste, before the taste of toothpaste was out of my mouth.
Actually, as I'm thinking about that, that's kind of creepy. I don't know. Maybe you sparked something in him. Is he jealous?
Probably. He's probably never kissed a girl. He self-confessed ugly as all hell. So it's like, okay, so you want me and my beautiful family to feel shamed? You got another thing coming. You idiot. That's your response? No, you measure Earth flat, mate. That's what I talk about here. I mean, I can go on about how you're a self-confessed fugly golem like Dave McKeegan. But who cares? You measure Earth flat. We measure Earth flat. This dude we just covered measures Earth flat. Physics Explained measures Earth flat. Simon Dan measures Earth flat. Fugly Dave McKeegan measures Earth flat. Al Baruni measures Earth flat. We measure Earth flat. What's that? You've got a sex life? Yeah, I have, yeah. We still measure Earth flat, though, and so do you, Rhetoric. That's not a rebuttal.
You know why they measure Earth flat, Nathan?
Because it's flat.
There you go.
I'm tempted to start now, like quarter of an hour early, just because I'm so exhausted, and then I can get some sleep before I go for curry.
What time you guys go for the curry?
At 7 o'clock.
So that would be 2 o'clock my time, right? Yeah. When are you guys doing a clock thing?
A what thing?
You know, when you guys changing time? The end of the month you guys do it, right?
Something like that. That yawn tells me I should go live. Maybe that'll perk me up. Anybody got any objection?
No. Jeremy, start the show. How are you?
Hello, Nathan.
Lacking coffee, I've said let's go live early so I can go and get some snoozes before going out this evening for a curry with Craig. And as soon as I've done it, I've got no drinks. I'm not really ready. That's just probably a bad decision. So, I don't know. Do you think you can keep a conversation going for the first 5 minutes of the show while I do get a coffee? Because it's something I need for a full hour's show, especially if I'm yawning.
I'll help.
Can you answer housekeeping questions if Neil asks them? And I'll go and get myself a coffee. It'll take me 2 minutes. The machine's on.
Go for it, Nathan. I have a question, if someone can help. You know, when you measure elevation angles to stars, and then the globs say, oh, you should be able to get the height of the star. Well, we know we can't get the height of the star. My question is, what about the sun? Can we triangulate the height of the sun, or is it the same thing, or do you know?
Negative.
Yeah, none of the heights are obtainable. The sun, whether it's the sun or any star, they're all treated as infinite.
The
Well,
geometry
the sun is moving,
different.
though,
It's,
right?
no, it's not like a street light, buddy.
Yeah, the sun moves at 15 degrees per hour, but all stars move at 15 degrees per hour except for one.
So let me ask you this. When you raise an elevation and you measure the angle to the sun, like you're on the ground first and you measure the angle to the sun, and you go up 100 feet, is it still the same angle or is it different?
Yep.
No, your angle never changes. Like if you're standing on the beach with your toes in the water and you take an angle to a star or the sun, then you get up and get on top of a cell phone tower, 500 feet in the air, the angle won't change. Then you get in a helicopter 1,000 feet above that, the angle won't change. Then you get in an SR-71 Blackbird, 100,000 feet above that, the angle never changes to any of those objects. Oh, objects.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if I call them. I'm not talking at you. I'm sorry. I don't mean to have a tone or anything.
No, I'm asking because I wasn't sure about the sun. I was, I knew about like stars, but the sun was a little different. I wasn't sure if the angle changes when you go in elevation or not. So if it doesn't,
No,
then yeah, I mean you can't get the height of the sun.
it's a celestial body.
Well, it depends. No, there's an exception to that rule. So if your sun is on the horizon, it can reach and breach the diffraction limit. That is to say, through a limitation in angular resolution. Yeah, by coincidence, Neil brought this up the other day. So we'll make the comparison to the sun at the end. But if you take a brick and put it at a couple of yards, you can see the brick, right? Your angle to the brick is wide enough to resolve the brick. If you put the brick at a mile, then the narrow angle precludes your view from being resolved. That's the angular resolution limit, the diffraction limit. So you can't resolve the brick at a mile. It is too small to see. You with me so far? Now, if you raise in altitude, you widen the angle. You're increasing your resolution to the brick. So there's a fair chance you'll bring the brick back. Now, if you then put that brick at 2 miles, it doesn't matter how high you go. You can never increase the angle wide enough to increase the resolution enough to bring the brick back. But if you build on top of the brick, another 150-story building, the bottom brick's still gone. You can't resolve the angle to that bottom brick, but you can see the rest of the building. Ergo, the bottom of the building is missing 1 brick through angular resolution limits. Now, if you then convert that same exact example to the sun, there is a point when the sun's moving away from you. It's over the land over there, where it can be on the horizon and you can go up the Burj Khalifa, as they used to use as an example, and bring it back. But all you're doing is increasing the angular resolution. But there is a point where it'll go beyond, where you can go as high as you like and you'll never bring it. It's still dark, right? So you can't bring it back when it goes too far away. In other words, it's over the land far, far away rather than in the near distance on the horizon. So from that perspective, yes, you can affect the sun with an altitude increase. But beyond that exception to the rule, it just behaves like everything else. You can still get the same angle at a given point in time in the day at all altitudes and use the sun for navigation like you would the stars. That's the point that you're asking about, right, Duncan?
No, that wasn't a question.
Oh, I missed the question.
Not exactly.
The question was the distance. Can he get a distance?
A distance to the GP you can get, yeah.
But not to the
like
sun or
height
not
of
to
the
any
sun.
celestial
Oh,
body.
No. So I've been taking the piss out of Rhetoric in the pre-show. What he's suggesting is that the distance to a celestial body, I can't remember if he's using the sun or the moon, it's one or the other, and he's addressing Jeranism back in the day. And he's suggesting that with trig, you can calculate the distance in height terms to these objects. You can't. When you raise an altitude, the angle doesn't change. Can't get the distance to the sun. Same goes for the stars. If you're going to use them in navigation terms, ball or flat, if you're going to put yourself inside the ball on the equatorial plane, measure through the ball with latitude lines that are a glorified protractor, then you have to suggest that they're at an infinite distance. Now, you can take heliocentric derivations through Kepler and Huygens and scale that system to give you distance. But you're going to need a flat Earth to measure the radial value, and you're going to need to transfer that flat radial value onto a light in the sky, but it won't function when you've got the world as a glorified protractor for actual navigation terms. That's why they say, well, we will consider them to be an infinite distance. Why? You've just described a value to them through Kepler and Huygens. You can't have it both ways. Both ways being from a flat plane inside hell.
Right. Cool. Thank you. I wasn't sure. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I didn't even that didn't cross my mind. I just had a picture like you see the sun at 70 degrees, and then you just go to various different heights while the sun's still at 70. But yeah, when it's on the equator, when it's on the horizon, and then you go on top of the building, like if you're on the ground, you can't see it, but if you go to the top, you can. So yeah, other than that,
well, when you understand that,
but it's still treated.
It's one following off the other. If you understand how they've hijacked perspective in the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator, you understand that it's directly connected to the angular resolution limit. Well, when you know that, and you know that they're asserting that the sun comes back if you raise an altitude, you're like, this is the exact same thing. They're saying it's coming back from behind the Earth curve because you're raising above the obstruction. But what is the Earth curve? When you've taken perspective, hijacked it, and called it Earth curve, well, it's perspective. Well, what's perspective? Angular resolution limits. Okay, and how does that work? Well, you increase your angle, you increase your resolution. It is that simple. So when they say you're bringing the sun back, no, you're raising above the limitation that the angle formed with the deck would create at the horizon if the sun's in the distance. Go up higher, wider angle. Very simple.
So they took perspective and they made it Earth curve. Great.
Yes.
Maybe that's what we should be dealing with people.
Well, when they do, they need to measure things, don't they, Neil? What do they measure for Earth curve mathematics? Surface level, eye level.
My hands are wet.
Yes, surface level and eye level, parallel with one another. That's how Earth curve gets measured. And it is not measuring Earth curve. You're measuring your height above surface level for a parallel eye level and a horizontal distance measurement. Those are the inputted numbers into those maths. If the distance isn't horizontal, the maths doesn't work. If the height isn't off surface level, the maths doesn't work. If you haven't got a parallel eye level, the maths doesn't work. It's all reliant on three flat Earth prerequisites: surface level, eye level, horizontal distance. It's like Rhetoric's used. So for whatever reason, I woke up this morning to Rhetoric directing his audience to an old video of mine that demonstrates I've got a sex life. I don't really understand why you'd do that, Red, so I've got to go on camera just to show my delight. Maybe it's because Rhetoric's never actually kissed a girl and thinks he can shame me by pointing out I've got a very fruitful sex life. Yeah, that's a 10-year-old video. I've now got 2 kids. Yeah? That's the result of having a sex life, Rhetoric. But that's not really a rebuttal to what I do on YouTube, pointing out that I've got a sex life. I have. It's very good. From a man who's never kissed a girl, you're never going to shame me for having a sex life. Somebody did it recently when they'd gone through my history and pointed out that I was engaged when I was about 19 to a girl called Gemma. And they started holding it over me. I'm like, go and have a look at some pictures of her. She was tall, blonde and buxom, with giant breasts. Very beautiful girl at the time. And you're going to try and shame me? What are you doing, you bunch of idiots? Is it just that the bull believers are all a bit like Dave McKeegan and all fugly and think that they're going to shame me for having girlfriends and a sex life? We talk about Earth being measured flat. So before I'd even really got my head out of the haze of not having much sleep for the last 3 weeks, I'd managed to find an example of Rhetoric measuring Earth flat for a horizontal distance measurement to apply trig calculations to. So, Rhetoric, you measure Earth flat, son. Now, the fact that you've never kissed a girl and that I have is not really a rebuttal to these facts of the matter when you require Earth to be measured flat for a horizontal linear distance application to use trig. Now, you, Reds, now get to hear the Reds Rhetoric version of Rock and Hard Place. You either sink to your knees in acknowledgement of how flat Earth must be for your little D on your triangle that's flat. It's a right-angled triangle, right, to do your trig. So you either accept on your knees how flat Earth must be for your trig to work, or you accept that you're a Dumbo and that you're using a curved line in a right-angled triangle. So you relinquish your measurements. That's to say, you find your way to the hard place where you're a dumbass that doesn't know what trig is. So they weren't straight, linear miles you were talking about when you said over 2,500 of them could apply to your baseline of your flat triangle. They wouldn't apply that because it's curved. Well, then your trig fails. You haven't got any measurements, you dumbass. And what, you do accept that it's straight, linear and horizontal to apply to a right-angled triangle? On your knees, Red's Rhetoric. Let me know how salty they are. What a clown. Try and shame me for having a sex life. It took me 25 seconds to find that example of Red Rhetoric measuring Earth flat. How long did you have to scrape through my videos to find something you thought you'd embarrass me with, Reds? You complete idiot. There, that was my
I like
morning.
how it just takes just a few seconds to debunk Earth curve now.
Yeah, Neil sent a video that Craig had replied to and was talking about in the pre-show. I'm like, I don't want to cover this if it's not good. And I trust Craig's judgment and Neil's, who said he hadn't watched it. But just so you know, Neil, I do trust what you say. If you had watched that video, I'd have probably gone through it. But the fact that Craig had gone through it, and he's like, no, it's not a very interesting video. It's very dull. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to cover it on the live show, but I will just put it on in the background whilst having a chit-chat with you guys. And what do you know? Within 60 seconds of the video, he's showing a flat Earth elevation angle that Eratosthenes used. Okay, so again, we're back to the rock and a hard place example. You either accept that you're measuring flat. Oh, it's only a very small local area that's flat. Okay, so you are measuring Earth flat then. End of this discussion. You either accept that you're measuring Earth flat, because you must, or you don't. I don't care if you don't. Then your measurements fail. Well, I don't care. It's not me appealing to these measurements, is it? You're appealing to flat Earth prerequisite elevation angles to suggest you're on a ball. Now, when you accept that they're flat measurements, then you've got a flat Earth measurement. Earth's measured flat, and that's the end of the discussion. You've measured Earth flat. What's that? You just want to accept that it's flat, but only locally? Okay. Again, the same thing. You're just measuring Earth flat locally. Yeah, we measure Earth flat, don't we? What's that? It isn't flat, actually curved. Well, then you haven't got a measurement. Again, rock and a hard place. Either accept that you're measuring Earth flat, because you are, or don't. Where do we get up to in housekeeping?
I thought we had a new rule that whatever video comes our way, once they use a flat Earth, we don't even go any further.
Well, that's what I was talking about all week with my comments. It's like, I just wait for somebody who's coming to either ad hom me. What? I mean, an ad hom would be like an insult in lieu of an argument. Like, you are stupid, instead of, no, my 2,500 miles that I'm applying to a flat triangle base at 90 degrees to a vertical when measuring the moon for its distance. Ugh, reds. Dum-dum. Or you relinquish your measurement. I mean, we can just find our way to the flat earth measurement. But when we get an ad hom about me having a sex life, that's not even an insult. It's not an ad hom, it's not an insult, but it's not, I mean, I suppose you could call it an ad hom. It's at the man as opposed to having to be insulting. So at the man, you've got a sex life. Yeah, I have. Earth's still measured flat by Rhetoric, though, isn't it? So who cares how good my sex life is? Very, by the way, Reds. Have you ever kissed a girl? I don't really care. You measure Earth flat. Hey, that's sad. They try and troll through my videos to find something that he thinks he's going to have a pop at. And the thing he has a pop at is that. I mean, you just couldn't make it up. Nobody's responding. I'll take it that you're all utterly shocked at this notion.
I didn't hear it. What was that again?
Why pick that thing to have a pop at? If you're going to ad hom somebody, at least pick something insulting. I mean, I'll give you I'll do it for you. I am so freaking poor, right? My bathroom is held together with sellotape. That's how poor I am. I've got 2 mortgages. Yeah? So if you want to ad hom me for being poor, because I am. That's legitimately true. So if you're trying to cut there, because it cuts deep. Now, riches, who cares? When we're dead, you don't take any of it with you, so who cares? But it would be nice to be able to tile my bathroom and buy a new car and not live in an apartment. I'm in the same place. That apartment video where you're showing off my sex toys. I'm in the same exact place with 2 kids here. So it's really cramped. There's no space. I trip over things all day long, to the detriment of my health in one instance about 3 or 4 years ago. You know, broke a load of ribs because I'm getting up in the night, falling over a load of stuff and breaking bones. So if you want to have a pop at me, have a pop at how poor I am, because it's true.
No, that's not going to work, Nick. See, if they pop at that, there's a chance that people see that and be like, hey, you know what? They send this guy some money. So they can't do that because you may benefit from that. You know what I'm trying to say?
No.
What if they could show something where, look, this guy, he's trying to make it like you're out of character, like you're not human or something. Look at him.
We're not human for having a sex life? Are you joking? I mean, I couldn't think of anything more. He wouldn't exist if his parents didn't have that going on that I've got going on that he's having a pop at. It wouldn't exist, Reds. Do you understand that? If your parents didn't have a sex life, you wouldn't be here. But you think you can insult me for that? Are you kidding? Are you delusional? I mean, are you nuts? Really? I just can't. You couldn't make it up. Now I'm using my lights. I'm too hot. I'm going to have to take this jumper off.
It's all about perception. What he's trying to make people perceive. You'll have some people that are square, Nathan, straight and narrow, and they'll look down at you for even having those items and using them for your pleasure. It's just the way it is.
I don't really understand. You're going to have to break that down to me. What? People look down their nose.
Okay, you have straight and narrow people that are squares.
Go on, explain it to me. Explain it to me like I'm really dumb, because I genuinely don't get this.
You have people that walk the straight and narrow line. They're squares. You understand? They call them squares here. And
boring people.
Basically, basically. So they may have a different opinion on that. I know some people that, and they think that's of the devil if you use those things. You know? Yeah.
I mean, okay. I mean, none of this makes any sense to me.
There's a total different, from England to America, it's like so different at how you view things and how the people in the States view things. Like, you go over here with the Bible Belt, oh, forget it. They would have a party with that and burn them.
What? I still don't understand. Even if you're Amish, the way people exist doesn't change. But for the fact that people are having sex, they wouldn't exist. That's never going to be anything to shame somebody with. I don't get it.
Yeah, but Nathan, you can have children and sex without toys and have, procreate. That's what they're trying to put it at. I'm telling you what he's trying to do with it. Trying to label you as some sort of freak.
I am a total freak. I mean, I am utterly perverted when it comes to that stuff. I mean, I'm so filthy. You have no idea. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Believe me, I'm more dirty than you could ever imagine. This is not something you're ever going to shame me with. You're going to be kidding.
He's not trying to shame you. He's trying to put it in other people's minds of how they view you.
But what difference does it make? So some Bible Belt Christian sees me as a bit of a perv. I am, yeah? Does that change how flat Earth is measured? See this surface level with a parallel eye level on screen for your Earth curve maths that we were talking about in the pre-show? You know, you go to the horizon. No, it wasn't in the pre-show. It was the beginning of the live show. Right, you go to the horizon and what are you looking at? What are you measuring? Surface level? What about when you go up in height? What, your altitude off surface level? What about when you calculate the angle? What, with a dip angle? From the parallel eye level? Yeah, these are flat Earth prerequisites that you're going to absolutely unequivocally require to suggest with flat Earth measurements that you're on a ball. But what's that? I've got a sex life? Yeah, I have. Yeah, I'm a right pervert. Is that what you wanted me to be? A pervert? Okay, I am. I admit it.
That 19-year-old blonde was too hot for you, Nathan.
She was just too hot. Do you remember Gemma? The guy in the comments was hilarious. Oh, do you remember Gemma? Oh, you've been through my Facebook, have you? And seen that I've had a long and fruitful love life with many different women over the years? Yeah, I have, yeah. I mean, maybe you can shame me for that too. I mean, does that alter that I stood before God and gave my, whatever you call it, heart to my current wife? Not that I'm suggesting there won't be another one by saying current. I mean, my wife. Yeah, I did. And I'll honour that till I'm dead. But shaming me for having previous girlfriends. I mean, it never makes any sense. On the one hand, I remember casually discussing with you guys that over the years, I think it was with Brian, because he's very similar, he's a handsome guy, and he gets loads of women, right? Me too, I was fighting him off, literally. I mean, I could tell you some stories that probably would get me shamed, but I've literally had to fight him off at periods of my life, where I had to kick one of them out of the bed because the one I was with was like, who's this girl? Tell her to go away. I'm like, I'm actually with this girl. You're going to have to leave my bedroom. This was at a party when I was living in Stratford. You know, I mean, but you say that and they're like, he's lying. No, you ugly old baldy. And you're like, no, I'm not. But they wanted to shame me for that. And then they shame you for having a former fiance. Like, are you guys insane? Is it just because you're so fugly and lonely that you think I'm going to be shamed? No. What, are you a bit pervy? Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm really dirty. Earth's still measured flat. Who cares?
Yeah, but they're going to use anything. But listen, anything to deflect away from what and how Earth is measured. So, of course, they're going to pick anything, Nathan. So they found that they're going to use that and try and use that to your advantage. They may make you out to be a legend.
A legend?
Yeah, like you'll see guys see that and be like, all right, Nathan Oakley, he's the man.
I am. Make no mistake. But that's the thing, isn't it? And life is what you take out of it. And in this same seat, not in the same position, there's been many different seats in this particular position, but from this little corner of this little lounge, it's actually not that little, it's quite big. But from this position, over the years, I've been rags and riches. That is to say, when we were the other day talking about me suggesting to my former boss that I get a Ferrari as a company car, well, that would have meant what? That there was a Ferrari parked where the crap 25-year-old TT is currently parked. Now, when that TT was new, my wife owned it. It was nice, shiny, and everyone desired it. Now, not so much. But what's really changed? Nothing. It's just perception from other people. I would be perceived as rich walking around with the Rolex I've still got that I inherited after somebody died. But when I was a rep, people didn't know that. You know, because it was one of those things that was still really expensive back in the day. But I was driving around in really top-end, high-quality Audis and arriving on people's doorsteps, distributors and dealers, and they'd be like, this guy's doing really well because I had a nicer car than all the other reps because I was selling the most expensive gear there was. So getting a good wage, having a good car, having a really good expense account, flying all over the world. I still came home to this apartment, though, didn't I? I still parked my car in the same spot. And after that employment was ended, I ended up suing that employer and winning. Now, I was poor as all frick, having to go around gathering up stuff off Freegal, which is a free website where people give away their crap that isn't worthy of going on eBay. And I'd have to try and gather up enough stuff to repair, polish up, polish turds, we used to call them. I'm sure that saying's still very much prevalent. But I went from utterly minted, looking stinking rich in my Yves Saint Laurent suits that I'd get laundered at the really expensive laundrette. And now I'm in between the two. I mean, I'm on a knife edge constantly trying to pay my 2 mortgages e-begging, but I'm not destitute. I'm not about to get turfed out of my ear. Hopefully not. So, you know, whether or not I'm up, down, in between, life doesn't actually change that much. And when I was dealing with, very rarely, but I used to, when I was a rep, deal with end users, right? That's the customer, the guy that actually spends the money that keeps the whole process going, right? The great unwashed. Craig will know exactly what I'm talking about. The guy who walks through your door in a retail outlet and actually hands over money. Right, he's the guy that's actually keeping everything ticking over. Forget the reps, forget the distributors, forget the manufacturers. If it isn't for that guy, everything grinds to a halt. So he's, strictly speaking, the most important person. And on a rare occasion, I'd get to deal with that guy. And I'd go to people, and you'd go to their house, and sometimes it was celebrities. Do you know who Elle Macpherson is? I remember dealing with Elle Macpherson and her husband, Archie, his name was, and they'd be fighting like cat and dog, right, with their kids at the top of the stairs listening to them fighting while I'd be fixing their hi-fi. As a distributor, right, as a favour to my dealer who didn't want to go round there. Anyway, they lived in London and they had a relatively nice house. Now, don't get me wrong, there are houses around me that are very similar to those houses. But in London, the houses aren't actually that big. You might think they are, but once you're actually inside them, they're not as big as you might think. That is to say, you haven't got that much more square footage than next man, right? And you'd look around and go, okay, so what's different in this place, in this lounge? And you go, well, my lounge is probably only 17 by 15. This one's probably 25 by 20. So he's got a few more square foot. Well, it's not that different. My hi-fi's better than his, was what I would be thinking. I've got a Cord hi-fi too, and mine's better. I've got better speakers and a better rig, and mine's surround sound, and yours isn't. That would be the kind of thoughts that was going through my head, because I was very materialistic back then. But then you'd look on the wall and go, that's an interesting picture. I'll take a picture of that and ask my girlfriend at the time, of course, who was an artist, Chantel her name was, who the artist was. And I showed her this picture, and she went, that's a Damien Hirst. She knew exactly what it was instantly. I'm like, what's that worth? She's like, probably 40 grand. It was just a circle with splatter on it. It looked crap. It was garbage. I wouldn't hang it up in my wall. I wouldn't give it the time of day. But it was interesting enough for me to take a picture of and figure out who it was. And it was a Damien Hirst original that probably cost this guy 50 grand. That was it. That was the difference. His pictures were worth 10x, 50x, whatever you want to put the number on, than the ones on my wall. I don't even have pictures anymore. I've got acoustic treatment. But the point is, that's where things differ. So your toys cost more. Where average guy in a different part of the world, in Scotland, has got a house that's 10 times bigger. You could buy a freaking castle in Scotland. But who wants to live in Scotland, in the middle of nowhere, in a castle that's dusty and dark and there's no amenities and no shops near you? You know, it's very different to be in London in a relatively big house versus in a massive castle in some remote part of Scotland where it's cost you peanuts. The point is, it's all subjective, isn't it? How well you are doing in life. So then you sit back when you're a bit older, like I am now, and go, what is it you actually want out of life? What is it that you want? Well, you want as little stress as possible. Now, over the last 3 weeks, don't get me wrong, I've been subject to a massive amount of stress, but it's diminishing quickly, as you can probably hear in my tone, right? I'm less phased now than I was last week and the week before. Well, that stress should be in this argument the stress of the religious belief that I hold. Because people want to paint us, me, a flat earther, as holding a belief in a flat earth where they know for sure and without a doubt that the earth is a sphere. Therefore, I'm the one worthy of ridicule. But in reality, it's the complete antithesis of the perception that your average Joe Normie has. And when I point that out to Joe Normie, let's say Rhetoric, although he's not Joe Normie, it's stressful. You want to attack the person. Now, you can't attack the argument, because, like I say, before I'd even finished brushing my teeth, I could find Rhetoric measuring Earth flat for 2,500 miles of it for his trig to work. So is that stressful for me? No, it's hilarious, because I can laugh at Rhetoric within the subject context of how he proves my point. So there's no stress. It's actually quite an easy topic to be in when you reach the level of zen that me and everyone around me has reached in regards to how Earth is, was, and always will be measured flat by everyone in all circumstances, including but not limited to Al-Biruni, Aristophanes, and in more recent times, Simon Dan, Fugly Dave McKeegan, Fugly Rhetoric. They're all measuring Earth flat in all circumstances. Even when they're suggesting that we're wrong as flat earthers, they still measure Earth flat. So Physics Explained, as we covered in the pre-show, is going straight to flat Earth prerequisite elevation angle measurements to suggest we're on a ball and flat earthers are stupid. It's like I didn't even have to listen to the video. I just need to scroll through the scroll bar until I see a flat Earth prerequisite elevation angle measurement and go, don't use our stuff, you complete bonehead. Now that's going to cause stress for you. Now I might be sitting here poor as all frick, but I've sat in the same position with a really nice car on the driveway that's brand new, that could do 170 miles an hour, more. Does it make any difference to my life? No, back then I was a lot more stressed having to run around all over Europe and all over the world and fly there and everywhere and lose sleep. Now, occasionally your friends will betray you and you lose sleep for 2 or 3 weeks, but it's not a non-stop affair flying here, there and everywhere losing sleep like it was when I was a rep. So comparatively speaking, although I'm a lot poorer, life's a lot less stressful. Still in the same position, still in the same seat. That kind of adds to my stress. I'd rather be in a house. My point is, our opponents have to endure the stress and suffering of being wrong about their religion. Their religion they were given by the Roman Catholic Church of heliocentrism. Who feels the pinch here? Who feels the stress? Say again, sorry, Duncan.
Sorry. No, that's okay. I was going to say, actually, since you bang a bunch of hot girls, Nathan, that proves Earth is a globe. So you're wrong.
They weren't all hot. Mostly. But
See, Sicilians don't need any toys. We only have one toy.
You only have one toy?
Yeah, Sicilians don't need toys. You kidding me? If I needed a toy, I'd feel like I'm not a man. But that's just my thinking.
What was that sound for?
Talking of toys.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to make it too... I don't want to take it down that peg. I mean, Rhetoric's brought it onto that road, not me. And I'll explain myself with my head held high when it comes to people going through my videos and having a quick glimpse in my bedroom. Like, okay, fair enough. You know, you can have a pop of that, and I'll bring it up temporarily, hopefully without being too disgusting or too filthy. You know, it's just, yeah, I've got a sex life if I just bring it down a notch. But doesn't change how Earth is measured. Why pick that thing? Why not direct your audience to me to tell me how Earth isn't measured flat? Well, that's because you can't.
Where's Rhetoric from? Is he American, right?
I think he's in Los Angeles.
Yeah, there you go. He's an American. A person from the UK would not even use that. He's an idiot. He's trying to shame you with the square American people. That's all he's trying to do. When all you're saying is, look, I have a healthy, intimate life with my wife. What do you expect? I have 2 children.
Say again, Craig? Or was that accidental?
Well, no, I was going to say something about Neil being racist about Americans. You got to be careful. You might get banned.
Yeah, you can't tell me that they're all frigid. or square. I'm sure there's plenty of perverts. I mean, people with a healthy sex life.
It's not perverted. What you choose to do. Let me take it to you.
Let me just correct you, Neil. No. I absolutely, without question, am perverted. There's no two ways about it. I am utterly filthy.
Let me finish, though, because according to Scripture, the Bible clearly states that the marriage bed is pure and undefiled. The marriage bed. That's you and your wife.
What about the marriage kitchen or the marriage lounge or the marriage garage or the marriage by the river?
That just means that, whatever, it's between you and your wife as long as she concedes.
So it's okay if it's the marriage changing rooms and look, no one will hear, I promise. That's all okay, right?
Yeah, as long as there's consent. I mean, it's between you and your wife.
Oh, well, that's good then. Happy days. I just can't believe someone's tried to shame me for this. I just can't quite believe it.
Listen, if you want to put on a Tarzan outfit and swing from the chandelier,
I do.
And you're married, that's pure and undefiled in the eyes of God, because that's you and your wife. And it's your marriage
Superman.
bed. Rhetoric should not be poking in there.
My Spider-Man outfit, you mean?
Well, the thing is, Nathan, he's poking in there because he doesn't have any sex life.
Yeah, that's the real reason, isn't it, Reds? Yeah? You never kissed a girl? Bless. Aw, you jealous? You should be. Meanwhile, Earth's measured flat, it doesn't matter. None of this is relevant as much as it is fun to laugh at Rhetoric's attempted shaming of me. Yeah, just try and stick to the argument, mate. You've measured Earth flat with elevation angles. Speaking of which, I should really put that on screen, shouldn't I, so the audience knows what we're talking about. Where is it? Is this it?
Well, you might have people saying, if they just tuned in, you never know, there's always new listeners. They'll be like, what the heck is an elevation angle, Nathan?
I'll define it in a second. Let's just play this video out.
She will do this edge on with my location in Florida.
She'll do what? She'll edge what?
And I will do the same while being edge on with her location.
Edge what? Sorry, I couldn't help it.
In California. However, the first thing we need to do is
sink to your knees and acknowledge how flat D is going to be when you measure Earth flat with a horizontal, linear distance measurement for your trig here. Rhetoric. I'm sorry about all the echo, Reds. I was literally having a dump while I was debunking you. Yeah, it was the first thing I did. Yeah, it was like before I'd even really fully woken up, I was debunking you. It was really easy. It took 25 seconds. Yeah, did it whilst I was on the toilet. That's why it's all echoey. And that's about how much respect I have for you as well. That's why it's all echoey in my little bathroom that's held together with sellotape. You'd have been better off poking at me being poor, mate.
find the distance between us. Lucky for us, the distance between us is known by
this D, right? We're going to use the distance as this straight line here, right, Reds? Okay, got that.
You guessed it, using the fucking ruler tool on Google Earth.
Why is it that you're using the F word? Does that not mean having sex, Rhetoric? Why would you use that word? The fucking Earth ruler. I mean, go and have a look at elevation profile. This is a flat, linear, horizontal distance, and you can show how non-curving it is in the elevation profile. I mean, obviously, I don't need to prove that. Reds is unequivocally going to be using it as a horizontal distance measurement. He's just shown us the trig that he's going to be applying it to.
With that, we now have the value of D, which is 2,351.81 miles.
2,351 flat Earth linear miles. Rhetoric measures Earth flat. It's the only way Earth can be measured. Well done, Reds. Earth's flat. We checked. At this point, Reds, you've got a couple of choices. Sink to your knees in acknowledgement of how flat you require Earth to be to do this trig, or accept that you're a dumbass and you've applied trig to a curve. That's not trig. So you're going to kick your measurements to the curb as a stupid idiot that doesn't understand how to do maths? I thought that was your whole shtick, Reds. that you knew how to do maths. So given that we'll accept without question that Reds is oh so superior when it comes to mathematics and wouldn't have made a mistake, then he measured Earth flat for his trig, didn't he? Yes, because the only way Earth ever gets measured is flat, with linear distance in miles, 2,500 of them in this instance, right, Reds? Unless you want to go to that hard place where you're a dumbass and don't know how to do trig. What's that you do, and you do use flat Earth measurements? On your knees. Let me know how salty they are. Okay, Reds? That's it. Very short video.
Can I give a little advice to those people that are going to be sending videos? If you're a baller, or you're one of these people that are against what we say about it being measured flat.
She will do this edge on with my location in Florida.
I couldn't resist.
So before you send a video, make sure that it's not automatically in the first 30 seconds proven a flat Earth, please.
Shout out to Charlie and Cat. It says, if you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Praise be to Jesus. Thank you for the super chat.
Actually, Neil, I'd like to say something to the contrary to that. I'm happy they show you the flat Earth prerequisite in the first 30 seconds. So that means I don't have to sit through 20 minutes of nonsense before we finally get there.
Say that again.
If we get to the flat Earth in the first 30 seconds, then we don't have to listen to 20 minutes of nonsense before we inevitably get to the flat Earth prerequisite.
You're saying if in the video they talk about how Earth is measured flat immediately, then you don't have to deal with the rest of the stupid nonsense video where they're applying, I don't know, bendy lines to straight flat triangles or whatever it is they're doing.
That's it.
Yeah, that was
that's
Neil's
the whole
sentiment.
point.
Yeah, that's what Neil's... Yeah, go ahead, Neil.
No, that's the point. We're going to stop it right there and not waste anybody's time.
Yeah, my favourite's the back and forths. No offence to you if you're one of my commenters, right? And you're in there, you're fighting the good fight. You're in the wrangle dangle with one of my anti-flat Earth commenters, and you're going back and forth. And then I just come along and look down the list. It takes me 10 seconds to find where one of them's used a flat Earth measurement or said north. I'm like, north's flat. What are you doing? Don't use our stuff. So we started the show early today, in case anybody's joined late in the show. I'm utterly exhausted, so I'm going to see if I can get a snooze. I'm going to be going out for a curry with Craig later, and I haven't slept in about 3 weeks. I just can't. I've had a lot of stress. So that's starting to dissolve, thank God. In light with the suture. Thank you very much again, Charlie and Cat. But yeah, so we will end up being a little bit earlier ending today than we are typically, as far as the clock is concerned, not as far as the duration is concerned. So we did start about a quarter of an hour early.
So can I ask a question? How are things going? Are you making progress?
We haven't done anything other than what I took stock of when I was telling you what I'd got the other day. I haven't had a chance. I mean, yesterday my wife was out at a gymnastics class, so no, not really, not in the day. But that might change, as we find, my wife and I, time to do these things. But that is a limitation. I've got to be honest. I didn't expect more to be piled onto my desk. I was hoping that the book would be taken off my desk, and therefore, in turn, so would the microphones. Instead, there's more on my desk now than ever. So that's partially why I'm kind of stressed. There's an increase in work when I'm at my I'm beyond the limit of what I can physically do, Neil. So it's now a case of where do I find... Do I just forego the 3 hours sleep I'm getting and do it then? Well, I mean, I'll figure it out, Neil. I've figured it out in the past. I'll figure it out now. But that's unfortunate. But that is a bit of a slight concern. I don't have enough hours in the day.
Well, like I said, I know how you're going to feel like you can't trust anybody anymore. But there are people that do have your back and will help you out. Just reach out to a few of them. I don't know, maybe Paula, Bible U, she'll help.
She already offered it, coincidentally. Yes, she has already offered it. So yeah, there are people who've already come out of the woodwork to say they'll help, and everybody that's contacted me said they've got my back, they're very disappointed, blah, blah, blah. So, everybody's been very, very heartwarmingly kind to me. Now, am I deserving of that? I don't know. I mean, I'm a bit of a pervert, so maybe not.
Make sure to ask the waiter to try your main meal first. So if it's poisoned, then he won't eat it.
Who to eat it?
The waiter at the curry house.
No, the curry house like us.
Well, some things happen in life and you just got to go roll with the punches, baby.
Yeah, Len summarised it the other day when he was like, oh, well, do you think you'll stay friends? And I'm like, well, what would you do? He's like, no, I wouldn't. I'm like, well, there you go. You've answered your own question, haven't you? And he echoed my sentiment. Once you get to a certain age, depending on what you're doing, you do get screwed over enough times to, number one, protect yourself against that happening again, which in this instance I had done more than I had expected I'd done. So I thought I'd done less than I actually had, without being too detailed. But you go, well, okay, so I've covered myself. Why? Well, because I've been screwed over plenty of times previously. And my dad, when he was alive, would describe it as a sting from a bee. If you're a beekeeper, the first sting you definitely remember. But once you're a beekeeper for a few years, you get a sting and it's almost inconsequential. The sting lessens every single time. Now, is the sting the same? Yeah. Yeah, it's still a sting. But how much you react to it lessens every single time.
Okay, when you're stung by a bee, I get the analogy. I totally get it. You become immune to it. Basically, we don't even feel it anymore.
You do. But you're never immune to it. That's why my dad's analogy was excellent, because you're never immune to the pain of a sting, are you?
No, you just get used to it. You know what it is.
Exactly. You just get used to it.
But here's the thing. Now, a bee is one thing, right? But if something else comes, like a wasp, and stings you, then it's a different sort of pain. Like when a stranger stings you, fine. But when someone close to you stings you, come on, that's a different type of pain.
Well, for me, it's always been someone close to me. Whenever I've been stung, it's always been that scenario, actually, Neil. So it's always been the person closest. Weird, eh? Maybe that's not the way for everyone, but no. I mean, maybe the people around us, because we've got opponents, think that they're stinging me. They're not stings. They might think they are. No, they're not. They would hope. Like Rhetoric, he thinks he's having a little pop. That he thinks that's a sting. You delusional idiot.
There's no way you could tell me that a German sting is the same as this thing that you're facing now. And to answer that question to whoever it was that asked you, can you remain friends? I don't know about you, but once you cross me, I have no use for you because I cannot trust you. How can I remain friends with someone? I'll keep you close, because you're supposed to keep your enemies closer so you know everything they're doing, but you are no longer my friend. You crossed me. Friends don't do that to friends, so I don't even understand the question.
People want things to be as they were, that's all, Neil. You were the same initially, weren't you? You couldn't believe it. You want things to remain. You said you wanted to wake up and it all not be true.
Yeah, I was hoping it wasn't. I was hoping it was some sort of ploy that, to sell books or something. I don't know, because it was so shocking to me. But then when people, bunkered down and try to declare they're righteous, how can I even trust someone like that? I can't. Just get out of my life. Don't want nothing to do with you. End the story.
Yeah, well, you say, well, Jaren was no different. How is Jaren any different? Jaren and I were reasonably close. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's across the pond in the same way as other people across the pond that I've become friendly with. But we're in an age where the communication is so good that you can get quite close to people without necessarily meeting them. Same with Patricia Steer. I mean, I did actually meet both of them in person, but that's not my point. It's not a great example because I did actually meet both Jaren and Patricia. Dave Weiss, there you go. I've never actually pressed the flesh with Dave Weiss, but I spent hours and hours and hours and hours with him talking about this subject on Skype or whatever it was. Good.
He wasn't your mentor, though.
No, but by the same token, it's, a relationship that you build up with somebody that you trust. So how is it any different?
They weren't on the panel every day.
Yeah, they were.
Was
I was always on their shows, my shows. They were all, we were the potato crew. You weren't around, Neil. You weren't there to remember us in that way.
how long did that go on for?
Years.
Okay, all right. So then, okay.
People probably can't picture this. Like, what, you, Dave Weiss, Patricia Steer, Jaron, all peas in a pod. Yeah, before Bob came on the scene. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Now, there were certain people that never made their way into the group. Now, these were the original OG Flat Earthers, but did Eric DeBay ever join in with that group? No. Did Math Powerland ever join in on that group? No. There were certain people that remained on the outside that were part of like the OG crew of Flat Earthers. And there were certain people that were involved with Jaron, like Smokescreen Design or Matrix Reload, who again faded into obscurity in this subject. But they were all in a group originally with Jaron. Well, where are they now? People come and go. People get forgotten about. And that's really what this current situation is about, isn't it? Not being
Hello.
forgotten. Say again?
No, I said hello.
Hello. How's it going, Eli?
It's going well. Sorry I wasn't able to grab you, Neil, when I had the pitch data conversation.
How did it go?
But admittedly, it was first in our mod chat, and everyone was there, and everyone likes it. Now I will say, you're not getting no credit, Ryan. Somebody literally said, I like it as long as Brian didn't say it. And I was like, now you being super petty. I said, yo, everything I just said literally came from Brian's mouth. Come on, right?
There you go.
The bottom line is, it's all good.
Were they all American?
Just
as we were talking about being racist towards Americans, were they all Americans?
No.
Not all Americans.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
You don't even have to tell me who's the one that said that.
There's no need to name and shame.
He could have been joking anyway. But regardless, his whole thing is so also like what 24/7 was doing yesterday with the list that we also went over. They were critiquing which arguments were strong and which arguments weren't based on how flat earthers have argued it. Right? So they kind of did the same thing we did.
So they went over how statements of fact were argued, did they?
Well, give me something on the list, and we'll see if it's a statement of fact or not. Okay.
Elevation profiles.
Eli round up. Go ahead, Eli.
I'll give you an example. What was one of them that was super terrible that I can remember?
Elevation profiles.
No, as you go higher, the air pressure gets less. That was on the list.
Oh, you must have had a different list.
No, well, I'm talking about the same list they was talking about, and they was like, well, what was the problem with us scrutinizing it? I was like, I don't know. That's what we were doing.
That's an excellent flat Earth proof, though. So as you get higher, perpendicular to a plane of reference measured in altitude, the air pressure gets less as it dissipates away from the ground in an upward vector. There's at least two flat Earth prerequisites in those statements, isn't there?
There is. See, and that's why you're necessary. Because I don't think that's something that's cognitively easy to accept because it's so simple. Like I was sitting here, matter of fact, I'm going on too many tangents. Bottom line is they like it. Now, secondary point, I also talked to them about you and the conversation we had. And I even gave your example of Godfrey to let them know that you understood.
Terms of service.
You know, everyone else's. Yeah. And you're welcome back. Actually, you, like I told you weeks ago, you were never permanently banned. There was a time frame on that ban.
Oh, fair enough.
So is there like you could have been came back, but regardless, they do want to see some changes. Like, for example, if you're gonna come into 24/7, it's gonna be just you. And
Yeah,
I find that reasonable because remember, one time you literally had to leave because you couldn't mute somebody in here. So everybody needs to just, if they're going to be a part of it, you still record, do what you do or whatever, but you're a regular like everyone else has to be. There's no
what you're saying is
superstar status.
I have to send the panel to the Discord server so that they're all in there under the moderation of that Discord server, rather than me having my panel come through my line so that everyone in the Discord server is going, why have you got 3 different voices?
Yeah, you can go yourself. I ain't going there with that.
Yeah. But there was a... Just,
Neil,
let me just fill the audience in a second, Eli.
We need more of...
I just want to fill the audience in on the conversation we had yesterday. So there was a perception from me that I'd been banned for being, quote, racist because I'd used the N-word. Now, we'll use that terminology because it's been discussed heavily off air. It might have been on the recording for the pre-show, the after show, I can't remember. Regardless, there's a general understanding that, I don't know if it's left-wing or right-wing that would use this in this way, but there's certain people that will say, simply by using the N-word, soft A or hard R, hope I've got the terminology right, regardless, there's a group of individuals that will say, simply by using that word, you can be labelled a racist. No amount of contextualisation on my part to say, no, it's been played in from a clip, somebody's playing a soundbite from a soundboard, and to diffuse the use of the word, in diffusion of the word, I've used the word. And it's a bit like when in Life of Brian, you've got somebody who's getting stoned, that is, stones thrown at them to kill them. And the reason they're being stoned is because, and this is in the words of the character, all I did was say to my wife, that piece of halibut was good enough for Jehovah. And then when he says it, the person who's running the stoning says, he said it again! And then they all start stoning him. But he hasn't blown the whistle to start the stoning, so he stops them. No, nobody's to stone anybody. And I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah, and then they all stone the person that's contextualising the rules around the stoning and the legitimacy of saying the word Jehovah, which is banned. Now, in this case, it's just the case that unless you are black, you cannot say the N-word. That's the social agreement, not me. I am not scared of words, and I want as many as possible, and I want to use them, all of them. But that socially, and I have to accept this as much as it annoys me greatly, isn't tolerable. You aren't allowed to use that. Only that group can use that word. Well, doesn't that segregate them into a group? Isn't that kind of racist? Yes, it is. But that's the irony of it. Same goes with using the F word. F-A, I won't do the rest. If you're a homosexual, you can use that word, but if you're not, you can't. Well, isn't that separating them into a group and giving them specific words that only they can use? That's segregation in a term using language. To me, that's so much more egregious. But there we go. That's the society we live in. And if I'm in someone else's rules that applies the general social construct rules of language to a group, I have to abide by them. And if I'm in that group, I will abide by them. Here, I will say nigger and nigga, however you're supposed to say it, contextually when it's appropriate to use that word. It doesn't scare me. What does scare me is people who say that word because they are racist. That is to say, they dislike black people and use that word in a derogatory way. Now, me, I am not in any way racist. All I want to talk about is how Earth is flat. That's my only motivation. The groups that are deemed groups, in this case black people, that in itself, to me, seems incredibly racist. But there we go. That's just my view on the matter, and it will never come up again in the politics server if we do go back.
Yeah. But the more times you do give examples of the exact word, are the more bullets that nefarious globers can cast a bad light on, for example, your book. I would suggest, as much as you like freedom of speech, if you want to be a businessman, freedom of speech can't matter more than that. Sorry.
Yeah, I get that. Sometimes you have to sacrifice your own, I don't think morals are the right word, just linguistic use. I don't know how to term this. Freedom of language is probably the words that you should use, but it's like, I don't know. Societally, like you say, if I want to be a businessman, you've got to understand that the society that I'm appealing to, they have had rules set for them, and I think the rules are stupid, but that doesn't change the rules that society want to abide by. Now, for me, even though I see the rules as even more racist, that doesn't matter either. Those are the rules that people have agreed upon. Or not agreed upon, had foisted upon them and accepted.
Yeah, it's frustrating for sure. Very frustrating.
Just the way it is. You got to sacrifice your own standards just to appease other people. Great.
So, that being the case, everyone, like I will say this. Everyone is excited about you because they're like, oh, Nathan actually is reasonable. We actually can talk to him and, whatever. And the arguments he has, it's not like, they aren't good. Then the second question comes is, well, is the other guy still allowed? They don't feel the same way about that guy. So this is
because he's a
positive to me.
thieving, rotten bastard now. His fruits show what he is. He's a thieving scumbag in plain English.
Right, let's not speak ill of other people who've offered plenty to this subject arena, okay? I stopped people doing it for Dave Weiss. Only I can do that.
I don't care.
For me to
I'll stop doing it, but that doesn't change the way how I feel. I'll stop saying it, but that ain't gonna change how I feel.
You should be rowing, Neil.
You should be what?
Rowing the boat.
On my way to Missouri. Yeah, I should be rowing. Yeah. Well, I live in Alabama. Very easy to get to.
Yeah. So, yeah. We have a long road to reaching out to new people, getting into new people's faces, and them getting familiar with our faces and stuff like that. I'm excited.
One thing that's just one second, Neil. I just want to focus on one thing that Eli just said a second ago, which was intriguing to me, and it reminded me of something Anthony Riley said many years ago about his introduction to the curve calculator. So you said that sometimes the arguments that we put across are just too simple to be true, as in that's how the perception is. Well, how can that be the case? You're just saying that the distance is flat and linear and straight and horizontal. Yeah, it is, yeah. Like I've shown with Rhetoric, applying it in a straight, linear, horizontal fashion to a triangle. Yeah, it is just that simple. But they're using it and not mentioning it. But if you don't know that, you don't know that. It seems too simple to be an argument, doesn't it, Eli? That's what Brian was annoyed at yesterday. He's like, don't come to me and tell me that pitch data is a frickin' argument. It isn't. It's just measurements of Earth as a flat plane. There's no ifs, buts, or ambiguity when you look at measurements. To turn them into an argument is part of the game.
However, he did qualify that while explaining that. And that qualification was what I led with, that everyone accepted. So he couldn't not do that and be justified. He did it himself.
Yeah. I get annoyed with it, and he cuts us off when he's doing that, because we'll just say, well, Earth's just flat in this particular part of your example. It's like, yeah, but you can present that, and because it's so simple, people will go, yeah, but flat's not flat then. And you've got to take them through how no, flat is flat, or it wouldn't do what you've got to see in the measurements anyway. Now, that's the bit that frustrates me, because I'm like, it's just measurements. Take them or leave them. That's my current attitude.
Yeah, that's my stand on it too. You could do all you want, get into all of that stuff. Once I see it's flat and it's measured that way, I'm done. I'm good. Game over.
I didn't get to the end of my example. So Anthony Riley came to me before I'd ever seen Earth curve calculations and went, we're supposed to be arguing about how Earth isn't or is a ball by way of use of this calculator. I'm like, what calculator? He's like, the Earth curve calculator. I'm like, what's that? And he showed it me. I'm like, where have you got this from? He went, well, a baller showed it me and told me that that's how I'm supposed to be arguing. I'm like, really? He went, yeah, that's how this debate's supposed to go. We're supposed to argue within the context of this calculation, and that's how we argue for Earth being flat, by showing that there's too much or too little Earth curve in the way of whatever thing we're looking at in the distance. And that's how we calculate how much we should or shouldn't see of this item in the distance. We put it through this calculator. That's how we argue. Now go back and look at the Isle of Man debates. That's exactly how we argued. Because we were stupid and were told that that's how we should argue. Now, if somebody had come along instead of the person that approached Anthony, I don't know who it was, and said, seeing this Earth curve calculator, let's have a little look at the values we punch into it. Distance. It's flat and horizontal, so Earth's going to be measured flat when we start asserting that there's a distance to a geometric horizon. The distance itself is measured flat. But if you can just ignore that, we can have an argument about how much or little Earth curve gets in the way after measuring Earth flat. Now, if that had been the case 10 years ago, we wouldn't be sat here, would we? The whole world would know Earth's flat, because that's how it's measured, like on screen in all these diagrams that don't reach anybody. There's only 71 people watching. Back when we were arguing about the Isle of Man for endless hours, with Rumpus talking over everybody and it completely inaudible, what's on screen? Curve calculator, with its straight horizontal distance measurements and altitude off sea level, that's used for 2 points that are both corresponding to the same plane of reference. Earth was flat the whole time and we just never noticed, because we were told, don't look at this hand, look at this hand. Don't look at the hand that holds the flat Earth measurements in it and has to go into the calculator. Focus on the distance to the geometric horizon at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height off a flat Earth. Just don't mention that it's a height off a flat Earth. Don't mention it's a horizontal distance. Don't mention that you can't bend the surface level because it has to be parallel with eye level for the dip angle. Don't mention any of that flat Earth prerequisite that we'll need to suggest we're on a ball. Argue about how far we should see. People think it's more complicated than it is. They're given a maths to make it seem more complicated. Then it's cognitively expensive. So do you remember when we covered that Irish girl and she's explaining about how if something's given to you repeatedly, it seems like that's the thing that you should focus on because you've already had it figured out for you. But if you've never had it given to you and you're presented with something that seems on the surface quite complicated, that's Earth curve mathematics, you go, this seems complicated. I don't want to dedicate that much mental effort and energy to this. So what's the conclusion? Well, the conclusion is we're supposed to have a geometric physical sphere edge for a horizon at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Now, if I say it that way, I don't include that the distance is a flat Earth measurement and the height's a flat Earth measurement and surface level's parallel with eye level, flat Earth prerequisites, all three of them. Now, if I don't mention any of that, you just hear the conclusion. We've looked at Earth, we've measured Earth, we put it through this calculator and we can tell you where Earth curve resides. So you just hear the last bit, where Earth curve resides. At the end of a flat plane that you measured flat with the distance and your height above it, and sea level and surface level and eye level, you don't hear the eye level bit, you don't hear the surface level bit, you don't hear the sea level bit, you don't see the horizontal distance measurement. Even when you drag out a line on Google Earth, you don't pay attention to any of it. You just know that the title says Earth curve maths. Cognitively cheap to process, so that's what people do. It's complicated. What's the conclusion? And once you're into the complex nature of it, you are dedicating your mental capacity to figuring out how the functionality of Earth curve maths works. You're already begging the question that there's an Earth curve. They've already won. So make it complicated, make it cognitively expensive to deal with. That's the game. Then you ignore all the flat Earth measurements.
Yeah, that's called a great trick. Great tricks are never seen.
Yeah, but they're always really simple when someone shows you how the trick works. Now, I used to work when I was young and I'd just left home on a magic stand with a guy called Ray in Stratford-upon-Avon, where there's plenty of people out there looking for theatrical things to do. And we'd be juggling fire with each other and doing play fights, slapstick, all that sort of stuff, to try and generate a crowd to sell our magic tricks to them. But there'd always be the audience who were buying the tricks really amazed, and you couldn't tell them how the trick worked until they paid you. Because if you did, they wouldn't buy it off you. As soon as you see the trick and how it works, suddenly it's not worth the £5 anymore. But if you've paid the £5 and then you show them how the card trick works, they've already paid. No refunds. But the trick's never as good when you know how it works. Now you, my audience, know. That's why I've got to be censored. The trick's really simple. Measure a flat earth and say it's a ball. That's it. That's the trick. It was really simple all along.
That's a good point. Once you know the trick, it's like, what? That was it?
Yeah. Like with
but it looks so grand.
Yeah, like with the fighting. Me and Ray would look like we were beating the living daylights out of each other, like we were in a full-blown fight where people called the police. Because we were good at it. That's to say we rehearsed and figured out all the sight lines where we would do this, right, on the Bancroft in Stratford. So you'd know where people could see where I was punching him. And from this angle, you can see I've missed his face by a mile. But from that angle, it looks like I've just knocked him out. So once you know the trick and you go, well, this is how it's done. And they go, well, show me. Ray, stand 90 degrees to how we would normally. There you go. That's how it's done. Well, you're not even touching him. No, that's the whole point. It's called slapstick. When he does that, he slaps his thigh and you hear a... and it sounds like he's been hit in the face. Well, he hasn't. It's slapstick. People don't realise that that's how most fights are done. When they see it on the movies and they see the behind the scenes, like, I knew that all along. No, you didn't. You suspended disbelief when you watched the movie. And that's all people are doing, suspending disbelief for the Glurf religion. That's all you're doing. You're suspending disbelief.
When you put it that way, it makes it so obvious, like how he whistled right past it. When you said even you're drawing out the straight line on the diagram, you're not picking it up. Holy shoot, they had us tricked.
Yeah, you have to hide the sight lines, mask them with other things. You know, baffle you with bullshit, give you too much information, make it... It's more an information overload rather than my analogy to hiding sight lines. So when you're describing slapstick, all I'm describing is one guy stands here, one guy stands here, and from your perspective, the fist is actually hitting the person. It isn't. It's going past the person, but you can't see it from this line. It looks like you're hitting them. Well, that's it. It's really simple to hide a sight line. Well, in terms of Earth curve mathematics, you're not hiding sight lines. You're just overloading people with information, making it cognitively expensive to process. Then you don't see the trick. That's it.
Oh, I see. You're looking everywhere else but where you're supposed to be looking.
Yeah.
Information overload.
Exactly. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's live show possible. But if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow.
Have sex with your wife, bro? Oh my god, bro. I don't know. I don't know about this.
America's very sanitized, man. Language, anyway. It's crazy.
Yep. So, is Refracted here or no? I don't see him.
He did come in. He just dropped out earlier.
No, because he had sent me a message that he contacted certain people and they don't care. So
yeah, he sent me that. Yeah, he sent me that too.
Well, all right, so that's that then.
Said, hey QE, I just found out about the situation between you and Nathan and Adam and Nathan. I understand why and what you are doing, and I understand Nathan's point of view on the situation. So, as a friend, I would offer you some advice. You may not like it, and I wouldn't expect you to take it well, but I have to say it. You and Adam are on a loser and are, at this moment, performing a criminal act. You guys have contributed so much to someone else's book that you believe it's your book. However, Nathan had proprietary ownership of the conceptual workshop the book was created in, as well as clearly recorded and documented authoritative position on what was the final say. I respect you and always will, so I beg you to step back and look at your actions. Check all legal cases and you will find, without doubt or exception, what you are demanding is absolutely out of the question. Sorry, I can't back you in this endeavour.
Well frickin' written. Wow.
Yeah, that was well written. It reminded me.
Nice.
It reminded me that AI said, if there's some type of thing that would stop you from suing the pants off QE, he would help you do that himself. Like people are.
Yeah, that's the thing that's warmed my heart so much, because you don't know if maybe you're in the wrong, maybe you're in the right. Then a few people turn around and say, "Oh, I absolutely support you. They're complete scum. They've ripped you off, or are trying to blackmail you, con you, extort from you." And you're like, "Yeah, what are you going to do?"
I see your point. I do see your point now. Like, you can have an issue with somebody, a certain thing, maybe about language, but when he finds out that people are being scum to you, they're like, you know what? That's not right. I got your back here.
Yep. Hey, Brian.
Hey, everyone.
Did you hear what Rhetoric did? Just to change the subject back to flat Earth, so we're not harping on about
I
books.
thought you were going to say, did you hear what Eli came in with?
Eli, okay, well,
Brian.
let's take you to that first.
We'll get to you.
Eli backed you up, right? This is genius. You'll like this, Brian. He went in and spoke to AI and the crowd, let's just call them, and basically paraphrased everything you went through yesterday on the after show, right? But he didn't say, this has all come from Brian. He just went through it and had them all nodding along. And then they went, well, I'm really grateful for this information. It's wonderful. And good job it didn't come from Brian. And then he pointed out the origin of it all.
I heard it on the show, and yeah, thanks to Eli. But they knew where it was after coming from, I'm sure, because they know Eli's going to bring it up with me if there's an issue that people have with the pitch data thing. So no, yeah, that's what I expected, because it's like, at the end of the day, if they're on the flat Earth side, that can't be denied, and that's only one of 4 calculations that I gave Eli, and so. There's no way around it. And that is the descent and the takeoff are all part of the pitch data as well. So I'm not surprised that they like it. Good to hear.
It's because it's excellent. Don't downplay that. The reason they like it is because it's freaking excellent. The highest of standards we have is that black box data. I stand by that and probably always will. There may be, unlikely, something that comes along that's better. But that is the gold standard. It's as high as it gets in terms of quality and measurements and indisputable data and fact. So just gold standard.
That's how I feel. Like, as soon as, and I admittedly, I told them as well. I said, let me tell you why I didn't catch this. Because when Brian was talking about pitch data, I'm going to be honest. I was like, blah, 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 pitch, blah, 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 pitch, yada, 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 ascension and descension. I like that. And then I ran off to, Google the heck out of just flight ascension and descension and takeoff and landing a plane in an airport. And I've separated those two things in my mind somehow all this time. when Brian yesterday was like, what the heck? Well, first of all, and then he began with the ascension and descension in the data, I was like, oh crap, you're right. So what are they going to say? When they reach cruising altitude, somehow that horizontal distance line, whatever on the graph, is somehow orientally changing along that distance, but that measurement is not in there. However, they can still argue it. How? When the very first thing we did was use trigonometry. So, I love it.
You're missing it, man. You're missing it because it's so devastating and the best, not even argument proof to date. That's why they're upset that it came from Brian.
Look,
but words like that, Neil, are gonna help us stay separate when I'm clearly trying to marry everything up. You do realize that I need Nathan to be able to enter spaces that people will accept him in, and you are a part of his crew. And so you not accepting the spaces or the people, Like just the words that you're speaking too highly and too highly and too lowly of others, regardless of how you feel. It's going to rub too
Talking
many
about you
people the
came in
wrong
and
way.
said that as long as it didn't come from Brian. I mean, you can't hide the fact.
Yeah, but I also, I mean, yeah, it's petty, but there's also a light jokingness about it as well. And the moving on to say, well, the overall point is this stuff is pretty good. I like the way you laid it out. Maybe we can do this and this to make it even more strong.
I see what
But
you
the
do.
bottom line is, if you come in and
Let
you
Eli
go,
finish.
yeah, but screw them. How's that going to help Nathan?
I never said screw them. I just said the reason why is because it's coming from Brian. That's always been the thing. What's the problem?
Yeah, well, that's an ownership issue. I'll just get to you in a second, Brian. So people want to have it as an argument that they can ascribe to someone else if they lose. That is an issue where people don't like taking ownership because it is, again, cognitively expensive to understand this. Now, I'll take ownership of the fact that when it comes to arguing outside the box of, well, it's just measurements of Earth that's flat, Brian's very quick to point out, yeah, but when they come back at you with X, Y, and Z, you need to respond to that with something coherent. Otherwise, people just won't believe you about the flat Earth obvious measurements. That's a way of saying they want to ascribe it to the person that's told them. In other words, they don't want to take ownership of it until they're cognitively completely clear about how to argue it. Well, not liking Brian means I don't want to just blame it on Brian when I fail because I don't like the guy. I don't want to credit Brian if I succeed because I don't like the guy. Now, I'm not saying this is true for just Brian. Anyway, it's people not taking responsibility and saying, I'll invest my cognition into understanding this so I can take ownership of it. Then who cares where it came from? Another example would be QE's scientific method. No, you haven't dedicated the time to understand how it works, therefore you want to either blame or praise depending on whether or not you like or dislike a person. No, take ownership of the argument. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, that's basically what I was going to say. You don't have to mention my name at all. This is just to destroy ballers with. My name doesn't need to be mentioned. Oh, I mean, Eli, what the story is. Anyone else, Jen knows, but it doesn't matter really. Whatever,
It's funny y'all say that because you see that's the part I hate. Like we often talk like there's so much division. Sorry,
Same thing.
division. However, they literally made the same point y'all just made. Why? Like it doesn't like stop labeling it as Brian's pitch data or whoever's argument and this, that, and the third. Just present it and own it.
Yeah, and own it if you lose.
Label these things.
But I thought that was always the case.
Well, it is, but people don't want
to.
People want to pass. They want to kick the can down the road if they fail. This is what it really boils down to, right? If you win, then all praise be to you because you've done a good job, right? No, I won that argument because I knew the argument. But if you lose, well, it's Brian's fault. It's Brian's crappy pitch data.
Yeah,
that's the problem. With presenting the argument, you have to be able to present it and proof it to the public yourself. Because if someone takes it and they can't do that, they just turn around. If they can't do it or they don't put in the effort to learn how to do it, then they just turn around. And that's stupid. That's stupid Brian's logic argument. You know what I mean? So you end up being the bad guy when if they just put a little bit of effort in, you would be the good guy kind of thing. But the person doesn't matter. Look, plenty of people don't like QE. Does that mean that the black swan is not relevant?
Oh.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Who someone is. What they say, if it's true, it's true. End of story.
I agree. If it's measured flat, it's measured flat.
Yeah, but it's about being able to. It's about being able to take ownership. Now, I didn't get to the further point, which is if you fail to make your argument, and I say your argument, we'll just paraphrase that slightly so the context is correct. Let's call it Brian's argument. If you fail because you haven't fully understood it, that isn't Brian's failure. It's yours. So ownership means that you are rejoiced if you succeed and damned if you fail. It's ownership in both regards. And it's the latter that leads people to go, well, I need to assess this on whether or not I judge the person and character of the person who's passed the information to me as good or bad. No, just assess it for whether or not you understand it. And if you do, present it. And if you win, nobody's going to turn around and go, well done, Brian, if you win with this argument. No way, it's yours.
Yeah.
But if you fail, I'm nearly done. I'm near 10 more bloody seconds. But if you fail, it's on you also. You have to own that failure. I'm done now.
I was just going to say, as soon as you grab it and bring it up, it is now yours. I don't get what's going on here.
Yeah, but see, what it is that if you can make it succeed, people will pat you on the back and you won't have to mention anything about Brian's logic or QE or Nathan or anyone else or Adam, right, etc., etc., etc. But if you fail, that's exactly who you're going to point at. So you only want to point at the person that the argument came from when you fail to use it. You have to do it.
Well,
I disagree.
This is the problem, Neil. You keep on. Maybe you give people that are not the panel too much credit because everyone else who is not the panel, they don't even. I didn't even have the graph. Okay, like so. Let's start with me. I didn't even freaking have the graph. Okay.
So, I don't know what you're talking about when you said that.
I get it
I'm
totally.
talking about taking the ownership of the. If you come with an argument, it's yours. That's all I'm
What you're
saying.
saying is, if you understand the principles behind the argument, you don't need the graph. Now, I got caught with my pants down once with this, so I'm glad Eli said this, because I didn't have the graph either. And someone came in and said, what's the line along the bottom? I'm like, shit, I don't actually know. It's time. It's actually time, but I didn't know that at the time because I didn't have the graph in my possession. I just knew the argument. Enough to win. I still won. But after the fact, Brian's like, you know, he didn't shame me too badly, but enough for me to know, yeah, you really need to get a grip. You know what I mean?
But even further to that, like, and this is what's brought, like, the same way we're talking about it is the same way we were talking about it yesterday, and saying, like, for God's sakes, like, you know, we're just gonna screenshot, you know, QE's thing, like, like, it's not like, or we're just gonna screenshot the graph. For God's sakes, we have the PDF, and I was like, that's true. Like that's a fair critique.
If I could just say though, 2 points concerning flights, and you know, you pick the flight data and all that. It wasn't the flight data that caused. I was dealing with about, I think it was about 6 pilots. 5 of them were commercial, 1 of them was private, and the private one was bottom of that, right? I was dealing with them online, and I didn't have the flight data or any of that at the time because I couldn't get it. And of course, the likes of Wolfie and them, Trevor Austin, that won't get it for me. They'll tell me, oh, you need thousands and thousands to buy that, you know, this kind of stuff. But it wasn't that caused the pilots, the people who actually fly, and I could verify that these people were pilots. It wasn't that, right? Because that wasn't there then. That caused them to have to move off my channel. It was the lift effect. The thing no one ever took notice of. Yeah, the commercial pilots who actually fly the planes, once I brought that up, immediately it was a major problem. They just knew it. There was no way around it. And that's why I promoted the lift effect. But nobody caught onto it because there's certain things within that have to, there's certain things that the plane has to do to generate lift, or the pilot has to do to get the plane to generate lift. And they knew this made it impossible for them to do to be flying around a sphere. And once I brought that up, that was it. I got abused. Or like there was no way to deal with it. They couldn't deal with it, just the lift effect. So that was before I ever got the flight data and that. Now with the flight data and the takeoff, descent, whatever, you know, sure, it's easier, but maybe. But the lift effect was the thing. So if I was talking to a pilot, I'd bring up the lift effect before I bring up the flight data. because the commercial pilots, when they brought that up, had a major issue. But people didn't realise the importance of it because because you pick it up with some random bowler, maybe they wouldn't know. They wouldn't, for them, because they're not doing the job and they're not flying the plane, they're not taking into account the importance of what it is. But commercial pilots were, including Wolfie, once they brought it up, major problems.
You know something, Brian? Do you remember that time when I was working in New York and I was telling you that this kid I'm, talking to about Flat Earth, he's training to be a pilot? We had this show on, and he was always going against everything. But when you were talking about lift effect, he stood silent and never said a word to me again. He basically understood it. Now, I don't know if he's a flat earther now, but that's true. I've seen it happen live.
Yeah, because it's certain things that when you bring it up, the person who does the work, right, they know because they literally use that, there's no way past that. For surveyors, it was angular size, the measurement of angular size. And that's my second point. The actual, if you want an argument that matches the whole flight argument, it's the measurement of angular size, especially of an angular size of a mountain at a distance, right? Because that kills them. Because a surveyor knows what has to be in place for that to work. Not only do you need perspective to exist, which doesn't exist in globe maps, but in our core maps, but the point is that you can measure a mountain 100 miles away, the angular size of that mountain 100 miles away, and just subtract your elevation, right? Just measure it. If you know the distance between you and the mountain, right, you can determine, right, that due to their measurement, that would make the part you measure 8,000 feet, and you know you're 1,500 feet above sea level. That means the mountain is 9,500 feet. Do you know what I mean? There is no ifs, buts, or maybes about that. That is every bit as devastating. So if you're looking for another parallel, it's that. That is a parallel to the flight armament.
That silence is people going, that sounds cognitively expensive, Brian.
I don't really understand that term too much, Nathan, but I know what you mean by it. I know what's coming from that guy's video. Basically, what I'm saying is that flight, there's no better argument than the flight argument, but there's one that's good, and one of those is the measurement of angular size in general, but especially in surveying, because they're measuring the angular size of a mountain at a distance. Then you have the use of trigonometry in surveying, where you're measuring a whole area in between 2-3 mountains, stuff like that. But the angular size measurement or point is easier, let's just say, for people to get or to make, right? Maybe, but yeah, that's because if you know your elevation, right, and you take the angular size of a mountain that's 60 miles away, and due to that angular size, that because you know the distance is 60 miles between you and that mountain, that has to be a straight line distance, and your measurement means that the part you measured, the angle within the angle, makes that part, 5,500 feet, and you know you're 2,000 feet above sea level, and you then add that on to the 5,500 feet, then you know that mountain is 7,500 feet. That can only happen if mean sea level is a horizontal plane of reference. That's the only way for that to be possible. So there's no way around it. When I brought that up in 2016, not exactly that, just the perspective in general with Jesse Kozlowski, he spent 4 days. 4 days. This is 2016 now. So I was like, there was a lot of stuff I didn't know then, but I understood certain things, and I wasn't allowing myself to be gaslit. He must have sent me 40 links a day for 4 days. Must have got close on 200 links off him for this, that, and everything. And after 4 days, he admitted that in something he was thrown out there at the time, he admitted that he hadn't taken perspective into account. 4 days it took him to do it. You know, and it just wouldn't let up.
Can I get into conspiracy lane?
What?
Someone out there, somewhere, is hearing the provision and the precision of what we're going through, and they're saying to their agents who may be out there, you need to stop that at all costs. I don't care how you do it.
Yeah, censor the crap out of me.
I agree. But that's what we were saying in the beginning of the show, Brian. It all started with they took perspective and they made an earth curve.
Like, okay, they're off of the feast of nonsense. They're back on point. Someone stop them. You know, I sometimes think because remember, the Black Swan wasn't responded to for a few days until, you know, the ballers finally, you know, religiously parroted refraction. But even when you drilled into their arguments, they all argued from different. They had different premises about what was happening. You know, some are using what the like light rays, and some are just flattening out the plane. Like they're coming about it at different ways, which, you know, they're trying to figure out how to delegitimize the argument because they didn't actually have one path to rebutting it because there's no rebuttal. But I'm just your friendly neighborhood retard. So what do I do? Everybody knows that I'm the least intellectual type.
What's with the self-deprecation all of a sudden? I mean, yesterday it was contextualized, but today there's no need, right?
Well, it's the same. And until I see him, I'm going to be angry. What do you mean that's how you felt? Is that how you really feel? Why? Have I really demonstrated to be a retard? Put a numpty clip out there, bro. Do it.
I've never seen you that way, Eli. I've always seen you as a highly intelligent individual.
Well, thank you, Neil.
Retarded means held back. That's what it means. Held back. We think you're held back? No.
Who was saying that? Yeah, Eli.
Quantum Eraser was telling him he's a retard.
He says everyone is a retard.
You can't say that's the truth.
That's everybody. I won't take that out.
The funny time is when he said the refracted curvature about his IQ.
Well, I did because I know for a fact he would never call Nathan retarded. So he is basing it off of something.
That'll change. Guarantee you that.
Well, for you, it'd probably be more like you should know better. I taught you better. But it won't be you're a retard.
Well, let's see.
We will soon find out.
I'm pretty sure he's called
I
you
won't
a
care.
retard.
I've unsubscribed, so I don't care.
I'm pretty sure he's called you a retard in the past, Nathan. And he's called Adam a retard. Yeah. So it's happened.
Yes, he has. Thinking about it. So you're not exceptional in that regard. It's just you've taken it very personally. You retard.
Yeah, Eli. How many times has he told you to shut up?
Okay, fine.
That's just the charm. I don't care at all about all that stuff. That's just like if it's someone else, then you know it's a straight insult. It's an outright insult when it comes from someone else. It depends on the person. But from him, I just start laughing. Do you know what I mean? And the problem is that if he's calling you a retard, he can normally back it up in some way. Do you know what I mean? That's the problem, boys. So most of the time when he's called me a retard, he's been able to back it up.
Yeah, again, it means...
So I can't argue it.
It means held back mentally. So if you're dealing with something complex and you fail to comprehend something, that's an accurate description of your cognition to say you are held back. Because that's literally what's happening if you don't understand something in the moment. You are mentally held back. So don't take it too personally.
Yeah, it never means it permanently. It's just in that, most of the time it's just with some of the ballers he does. But most of the time with any of us, normally it's just at that particular time or in general, but not all the time. You know what I mean? But that's just the way he is. Do you know what I mean? He's an asshole. Do you know what I mean? But that's his charm.
Well, somebody calls your name. It depends on how secure you are and who you are. It's going to bother you if you're an insecure person.
Another point I brought up, I don't know if we want to harp on this today. I will just say, QE, like, there's nothing wrong with your legacy. If you put out a book called The Numpty Files, we would buy it. I asked. People said they'd buy it. Dude, put in some work, man. You already put in enough.
You're missing it. They feel they have put in the work already. That's the point.
No, but what I'm saying is, we understand, for a not retarded man, someone who's not held back understands that he can't in any way take this and leverage it for his legacy or success. That's going to blow up in his face the way he's doing it. So if he's not retarded, he understands that. So you
No, he doesn't.
do your own thing.
Let me just correct you. No, he is actually retarded. He thinks my legacy can be his legacy because he's retarded.
That's the problem, you see. He'd say it the other way around. He'd say that his legacy will be your legacy. Do you know what I mean? So there's that disconnect going on between both of you.
So then it comes down to what's being done. Well, we're writing my book, in this case, edited by Adam and QE. They think because they've edited a book that it makes it their book because they've helped me acquire the arguments back to ownership. So because I've been taught the arguments, the story of me is the story of QE? No, it isn't and never will be.
Mind you, what we've always said, well, actually, our friend AI brought this up, and Brian, you have said that you're a good judge of character, and you've given QE and Adam as examples in the fight against AI. Well, now that they have done this, you might say there's some wiggle room in your assessment, because honestly, you can never really know. That's the truth that you didn't expect QE to do. No, maybe QE, not Adam. Right or wrong?
No, because I've spoken with QE and Adam. You see, I gave the example the other day, Eli. You listen to this. I gave the example, and Nathan agreed that if, what they were looking for from Nathan is to have their names on the cover as co-authors underneath Nathan's name. Now, if they went about it a different way, right? And Ted Mann agreed with this too when I put it to him. If they went about it a different way, if they just sent Nathan the file and then approached him and said, when he was asking for it, when Adam was coming back off a holiday or whatever, and then approached Nathan and said, look, we think that it would be only fair if you put our names on the cover as co-authors, as, we put so much work in there. And if Nathan said no, and he would say no, and I knew he would, before he even brought this up with Tent Man, because Nathan already said that he would say no. And when I brought this particular scenario up with Nathan the other day, he confirmed he would say no. The point is that at that point, if they appealed to the panel and the wider audience, everyone would be on their side and think it would be, most people at least, maybe not everyone, but most people would be on their side and say, it's only fair because the work they put in, all they're asking for is their names on the cover, blah, blah, blah. So they would be the good guys in that scenario, and Nathan would be the bad guy. But because of the way they've gone about it, because of the way they've gone, just one second, I'm not trying to have an argument with you, I'm just saying, because of the way they've gone about it, they're the bad guys and Nathan's the good guy. Yes, they were looking for the same outcome. Do you understand what I mean?
I look at it differently.
They might have been.
Hold on a second, Eli. I look at it totally differently. I look at it like Nathan could never have looked any other way than he looks now because they lost sight of whose book they were writing, Brian. That's the problem.
Yeah, but yeah, but the problem is, Neil, you're not taking into account the scenario I'm talking about. You're taking
Yeah, we're talking about.
I have to say this, Neil. You're blinded by your anger towards them.
No,
So
not
you're
at
not
all.
getting
See,
it clear.
Brian,
You're not
now
getting
you're
it clear.
Hold on. Now you're insulting me. No, that's
I'm
not true, Brian.
insulting you. I can back it up.
I've assessed the whole situation, and I've come to the conclusion that they were in delusional world if they thought they were doing anything else. So actually, they're being held back from what was actually being done.
Well, the argument is going to be predicated on the speculation of how people would feel. So we got to understand both of you guys just have an opinion. So there's no need to get into an argument like you guys said. Like, I see Brian's point in, the sheer fact that people could just choose to hate FED, whatever would have been the best outcome for them to hate, they would have chosen. So if they saw a glimmer that, perhaps I could be on, QE and this guy's side, because after all, look at all the work they put in. How much work did you really do, Nathan? Like, isn't that QE's argument? Isn't that
10
something
years.
that Brian said? Blah 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 blah. So what I'm saying, what Brian is saying is, even for nefarious reasons, not just for justified reasons, but like people could literally have, made them some sort of good guys in the public opinion's eye.
Here's the thing. When that whole stuff was going on with Brian and AI would sit in freaking rooms and just try to freaking redo the story and try to put in people's minds his justification. Oh, why he's right.
I don't know about that.
He did. Hold on. He did. I told you he did, Brian.
He did.
And I did not listen. I would not take it on board. I listened. Just like I wouldn't listen to Adam or QE try to justify their treachery. I cut them off right at the knees. There is nothing they could say that could persuade me that they're in the right in any way. Now, you call it blindness. I call it discernment, Brian.
I didn't call it blindness, Neil. What I said is that you are being blinded by your anger.
No, anger is just the end result of it.
What's been happening? No, I'm not going to just focus on you because that's not fair. What's happening is, because of this debacle between Nathan and QE and Adam, what's happening is everyone is turning on each other when the crux of the matter is not actually being really addressed by everyone. I can understand people are unhappy with the way that it's happened. I get that. But that's why I use the scenario of it going a different way and how the roles will be reversed, yet the same outcome will be looked for. The point I'm making is that people are saying, oh, Adam and QE are just this, that, and the other thing, right? No one would have said that 3 weeks ago. But I mean, is it that they just suddenly became? Is it that they just suddenly became? Is it that they just suddenly became evil robbers?
That's not what he said. The moment you hold something back from what don't belong to you, then you become what you are.
Well, let's just you could
be a good, well-to-do Samaritan one day and a murderer the next.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that much of a swing of the pendulum yet, right? There is a grey area, and I don't like grey areas, but there is a grey area here, and that's why when I brought up the scenario, no one can really deny that scenario. But what's happening is you have people like, let's just say QE is attacking you, right? Now, he's attacking you, right, in a way he wouldn't have done a couple of weeks ago. But there's people attacking QE and Adam in a way they wouldn't have done a few weeks ago. And the thing about it is that's bitterness and anger and hate that's going on there. And what I've tried to do, right, even though a lot of people have said, oh, I hate that it's falling apart, I hate this, that, and it's all coming apart, split down the middle, I have tried to stop that happening And I am the only one who has tried to stop that. I literally have tried.
Wait a minute.
No one else has tried to stop that.
I would say I'm typically the person who's like, those are the things, the emo buttons that I'm usually like clued into. Like I definitely tried to stop it from happening at all times, always before any of y'all tried to stop that from happening.
Yeah, but I'm talking about this specific event, not other things, just this specific one. So I'm not talking about your past and you doing it in the past. I'm not talking about this specific one. It seems like people want it more than they don't want it. They say it's coming apart, I hate this, but then they want it because they want to get nasty. It's like these people have built up anger with each other for no reason.
Well, like you said, there is a gray area. You know that, again, what you're saying right now is the sentiment everyone shared in the mod conversation I had yesterday. And
these are making excuses.
So it's not, we're not even on your point. So don't tell me what I'm doing is excuses. I'm not even talking to you or to your point. So my whole thing is everyone feels like something is going on. But the bottom line is not everyone, a lot of people, and Nathan has said, many people have come to him. A lot of people have wanted a change. So people are looking at this as a change that could, even though it's really screwed up right now, could be a net benefit for FED and the whole community.
You could do what you want. All of you could do what you want. Once someone shows any characteristics of betrayal, I don't want to have nothing to do with anybody. I can't trust them anymore.
Yeah,
but everybody betrays, everybody lies, everybody deceives. We're all human, Neil. You know that.
What do you mean?
I didn't hear you. I didn't hear what you said, Eli.
If I took that stance, I would trust nobody. Because who could you trust? What I said was that at the end of the day, we all lie, we all cheat, steal, deceive at some point because we're all sinners. To say I could never trust or forgive,
Eli,
well,
yeah, I can. Once somebody betrays anybody, how am I going to trust that they won't do that to me? Once you betray somebody, that's it. There's no, you've done it. I mean, if there's a repentance, hold on. If there's a repentance and an acknowledgement of it, where, oh, that freaking came over me, but, I have a change of heart and let's try to reconcile, then it's a different story. But when people
that's what I'm saying.
Bunker down and are not and think that something else is going on or think that what they've done. Does Nathan have to play the videos that we have of Adam saying what he's saying?
Okay,
how could you come to any other conclusion?
So you're keeping it specific. I guess I was kind of broadening it to more widely the community. But like when you're talking about what's going on with Adam and QE right now, like, no, that there's not, like, as it stands, like, we feel how we feel because they've done what they've done. Unless there's some change in behavior, there's no change in how we feel.
Well, let me throw something out there at Neil. When I was speaking to Adam the other night on the phone, right, he told me that he was removed from all the groups on Teams, right, by Nathan or whatever. But he said there was one group that he was still part of. I'm not sure if it was back office or something. And so whatever. So I think maybe, I don't know why he was still part of that. He's not now, but he said he was. And he said that he saw a comment from you, Neil, concerning him and QE about something about, and I was shocked to hear it, something about how Adam used to be with Ironman Media, so he's really only a globebuster, or I can't remember it verbatim, and he's just some guy who used to debate some people online. Is that really what you thought of them for all those years.
No. See, he's not listening to it right. The fact that they need Nathan's name on the book, what I said was, how do we know them? I know them from being on Nathan Oakley 1980. Who were they before? Before, Adam was a guy on freaking Iron Realm Media, and Chewy was a guy who debated online. We got to know them on Flat Earth Debate 1980. That's what I meant by that.
I knew them before that, Neil. I knew them before that.
But that's a fair point because Neil is not you. So if Neil is the person who made the statement, right, and that's the context of it. If Neil, what Neil is doing is
sorry, Chuck.
And I guarantee most of the people do.
Just chill out. Let me get it straight. So exactly as suspected then. So it's about not wanting to be obscure in their presentation to the public as they walk away then. And in order to achieve that, they need to be parasitical to me. That's what I'm hearing. How dare you assert that we were nobody until we came to Nathan's show? Why would you want to ask me permission to be on my book then?
That wasn't Adam's point to me. Right? That was not his point. Right? What Adam took from it was, right, and this is another thing, Nathan, that you're thinking that they're thinking that way. Do you think Adam and QE need you as much as you need them, or any more or less?
I just let that clear straight away. I don't need them at all.
Yeah, and they don't need you. This is the thing.
Jolly good.
Well, Adam.
So if they, and that's not true. Stop. That's not true. If they don't need me, why the fuck are they asking me permission for anything? So just stop. That contradicts that statement fundamentally at its core, doesn't it, Brian? If you don't need me, then you don't need my permission for anything, do you?
No, they don't need
right,
you.
So let's get that straight. Let's get that straight, because you're going to piss me off right quick. They absolutely need me. They wouldn't fucking ask me for permission for something, would they?
They asked you to put their
because they need my permission, don't they?
They asked you.
So because they need my permission, don't they? Yes, so they need. So they need something.
They don't need you at all for anything.
So why the fuck are they asking? You're contradicting yourself.
Because they were writing a book for you.
For me?
That's why.
Well, they interjected.
Oh, they were editing a book.
They interjected themselves in that process.
Sorry, so hold on. Brian's under the apprehension that suddenly they've come up with a first draft, that it wasn't a fifth draft.
No, not according to them. That's my point.
Well, that's just a fact. I've got it. Brian, stop. Brian, stop. No, it was, whether they lie to you or not, a fifth draft.
They started a completely fresh.
Sorry, are you not hearing the words out my fucking mouth?
I am hearing you. Don't shout at me.
Repeat after me. Repeat after me. Fifth draft.
That's not how they see it.
I don't give a fuck how they see it. It's a fact.
Well, you should give a fuck because they have the book.
No, they don't, Brian. That's where you're wrong. No, that's where you're wrong, Brian. The fifth draft was recorded by me every step of the way, and the third, second, and first draft. That they think it's a new book. No, it's a fifth draft.
It doesn't matter if you have it on your recordings. The point is they have it. The point I'm trying to get to, right, that I didn't get a chance to get to.
What do they have?
Adam. Sorry?
What do they have? My fifth draft?
That's not how they see it.
Yeah, I understand. You keep telling me. Sorry, Brian. Stop telling me about how they see it. It's a. You're denying facts, Brian. Are you going to deny that it is factually the fifth draft?
Well, they see it more.
Oh, well, it's a yes or no question. Are you, because they feel it's theirs now, because you've been convinced by them, that you're going to deny the fact in the matter that it is factually a fifth draft? Because that's the fact in the matter.
It's not about being convinced by anyone, Nathan. It's about what their position is in comparison to your position.
No, not at all. You're saying they feel like it's theirs. Well, factually, it's a fifth draft of my book. Fact.
Okay. But that doesn't matter. You say that.
No, how dare you? How dare you? Shut up. How dare you tell me it doesn't fucking matter? Yeah, it absolutely does matter. So their feelings are what matter about this, as opposed to the fact it's my fucking fifth draft that they've robbed. Their feelings are inconsequential. I don't give a fuck how they feel about my fifth draft they've stolen. They've stolen the fifth draft. Now, does that mean that I don't own possession of the fifth draft? No, I've got it all logged. It's just going to involve a fuck ton of more work that they were supposed to be helping with. So while they were telling me that it's my book that they were helping me edit, they were lying and feathering their own nest because they felt it was theirs. It wasn't ever theirs. It was my fifth draft. Now, you've been taken in by what they feel about it.
No, I haven't. If you actually listen to what I said...
Said it didn't matter 10 seconds ago.
What I said...
Said it didn't matter.
What I said... That's not what I said. I said other words with that, but you didn't hear it. I'll say it again. I said it doesn't matter if you say that a million times. That is not how they see it.
Doesn't matter how they feel. The facts in the matter are, it's my fifth draft with my name on every page.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Sorry, it's ridiculous that I've got a fifth draft that they've decided is theirs.
No, what's ridiculous, Nathan, is the fact that you want to blame me, right, because you have an issue with them.
No, I've moved past the issue. My issue's only with you because I've turned my back on them. They feel like my fifth draft is theirs. Now it's just whether or not you feel that they're right, because they feel that having worked on my fifth draft makes it theirs. It doesn't, and never will.
May I take a point of moderation? May I take a point of moderation since you two are...
It's not going to help, Eli. It's not going to help. Leave me speak to Nathan, please.
The person
I don't need a moderator.
Don't determine.
Leave me speak to Nathan. Leave me speak to Nathan.
Listen to how
you're just going to make it worse. I can bet you $100 you're going to make it worse.
Or you could just yield to Eli for a second.
I bet you $100.
Or you could listen to what I said in the first place.
I did, Brian.
Yes, you didn't listen to what I said in the first place. You didn't listen to what I said in the first place. You didn't listen to what I said in the first place.
Listen, I'll bet you that $100.
This is really helping, Eli. You're helping Narrows a lot.
Why won't you just yield to him, Brian? Just let him get his piece out for 10 seconds.
I don't have to let anyone do anything, Nathan. I can just hang up.
Okay, the $100, yes or no?
Okay.
The $100, yes or no?
Okay, good luck to you. Goodbye.
See what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing. Hold on, Eli. Before you go on, this is what I... Go ahead.
Stop.
Go ahead.
All I asked, and I thought Nathan was going to rip my head off. Since you two have begun an engagement, do you not trust someone to step in if it's become circular and say, maybe can I add a bit of moderation? If that's reasonable and if everybody agrees and nobody interrupts, I'll say what I was going to say. All I was going to say is, well, Brian, since Nathan is saying it's the fifth draft of his book, and you're saying they don't see it that way, then fundamentally, and I did hear him say, the fifth draft is no kind of mirror as the fourth draft. It's a completely new book, and they feel like it's a new creation that's mostly theirs. Is that what you're saying they feel like, Brian?
Yes, that's what they're saying.
Address that. But we could address that if that's clear. If it's not clear, they're just going to go in circles.
No, that's it. Brian's not here any longer, but I talked to Brian, and it's very frustrating because when you don't stop somebody and you allow them to freaking penetrate your ears and brain for 3 fucking hours, this is what you get. It gets confusing. I'm not confused in the matter because I didn't allow them to try to justify their treacherous treasonous act. They think that that book is theirs now because it looks nothing like what they got put before them. Well, too fucking bad.
Well, they could go ahead and put forth all the rough drafts of their book. Oh, yeah. I don't have any.
Go ahead. And that's not what I said. See, Adam read that totally wrong. All I was saying was how they needed Nathan, because I didn't know anything about Adam. I knew there was a show called Iron Realm Media, and I knew he was on that, and he got arrested at something during Flat Earth. QE was a guy that freaking used to debate online. They became very popular when they were part of this panel of a show that's been going on for almost 10 years or above 10 years called Nathan Oakley 1980 Flat Earth Debate. Am I the only one that's getting this? Because I'm getting very frustrated.
Yeah, so then the question then becomes, if that is exactly what Neil said, I just copy paste what Brian asked. Neil, don't answer because it's rhetorical. Neil, is that how you feel? If I was Neil, I would have responded, well, isn't that the case? What do you mean how I feel? Isn't that the reality? What do you mean?
Yes.
Is that so? What's the problem?
Eli, that's what I would have said. I would have said there's no feelings at all.
So then that begs the question: what was Adam's point to Brian in telling you that, if that's actually true?
Well, because they got delusions of great. Go ahead, Adam.
It's me, actually, but Eli summed it up yesterday when he was talking about working for a business owner. You're like, it doesn't matter if you've done 70 or 90% of the work for an employer. You're working for the employer. You can't turn around and say, well, that's mine now. I think Refracted Curvature gave it an example with a Lexus and a Toyota. If you've got designers working for Toyota, creating a Lexus, they don't get to take ownership of the Lexus because they've put their life... It doesn't matter if it took them 20 years. It's still owned by Toyota. Now they're saying, well, we put so much work in, we've changed it so much, it's ours now. All right, so you changed the Toyota Corolla so much, the Lexus is yours now. No.
No, what you do now is you go and you start your own car company. So go out and start your own fucking book.
So Neil, that was my point. And you guys have heard me say this time and time again. Me and Reflected have bumped heads because I've always likened everything to business. And I said, if we don't have business minds, which I know we don't, we're going to fail at all of these things that we think are unfair. So these two guys feel like they've been treated unfair. Now, to Brian's point, they could have had sympathy from the common man who is worked to the bone but doesn't own anything. Well, the problem isn't that someone forced you to do that. You did that under your own will. You could have started a business of your own. That was
precisely. That was 10th man's attitude. Now, while this was going on, if they felt that they were putting too much work into my book, they could have walked away at any time. But instead, they chose to lie to me continuously, tell me how they were helping me create my book and make it better. That's what they did, to turn around and blackmail me at the end of the process and set me back.
Well, this is what I heard, that they were hoping that you would come to them.
Oh, that will work well in front of a judge.
Company.
Yeah, so back to the Lexus and Toyota example. I was hoping Lexus would let me own the car at the end. No, at no point was there ever any misapprehension about who this was being done for, why it was being done. That was never unclear. The only people who were unclear about it were Adam and QE, who decided at a certain point, whilst lying through their back teeth about helping me, that this was theirs. No, it never was, and I didn't ever make that in any way ambiguous. It was clear as crystal the entire time. So they've decided otherwise. Okay, we'll just lie to him in the hopes that he'll give us what we want. Well, they never told me what they wanted, did they? They told me what they wanted when they blackmailed me. That's why they will go down in history as thieving cunts and pariahs, because the way they've gone about it is to lie, cheat, and steal to achieve what they wanted, because they hoped they get something that they knew they were never going to get, because I wasn't in any way unclear about what was being done.
Yeah, see, I don't understand Brian's point either. By if they would have gone on about it a different way, that they would have looked like the good guy. I don't see it. I
the
really
different
don't see
way.
how it could look any other way.
The different way would be
Well,
6 months or 12 months ago.
business minded, which
12,
is another.
6 months or 12 months ago, they could have said, "This is too much work. If we're going to do this work, we want it to be collectively our book." At which point I said, "Well, then walk away and make your own, and I'll get on with this without your help." But they didn't. They continually lied to me and said, "We are helping you to make your book better. All this work we're putting in, you need to be grateful to us." They demanded gratitude, not co-authorship. They demanded co-authorship at the point after it was 90% edited. Then they demanded co-authorship. You're like, no, well, then you don't have it. So what you're saying is what you were actually doing whilst demanding my gratitude for your help on my book was holding me back for 12 months. That's what they were actually doing. Total cunts.
Well, here's the thing. This is what drives me crazy with Brian. How are you not seeing this? That they're trying to play on the sympathy of people by saying, "Oh, well, we thought he was the one that was going to come to us and say, he's done this work so much that I'm going to put you guys on the cover." That is delusional. And it doesn't reflect anything on the videos that you have of the stuff being recorded.
I got to defend Brian here. I don't think Brian doesn't understand that. I think Brian was trapped in a hypothetical situation.
Brian's been a good mediator, right? Brian's just trying to mediate and try and put their point of view across in this arena. So don't make this about Brian. Don't take it out on Brian. Brian's done absolutely nothing wrong.
No. I'm not saying I love Brian. Brian's my guy. I'll always be with Brian. But he's just frustrating me because we've had hour-long conversations and he just keeps circling back to something. And I keep trying to tell him, Brian, no matter what you tell me, there is no way I'm going to see it any other way than what it is. And you need to see it for what it is. I don't care what they said to you. That's why we're not staying on the phone with them longer than a minute. I told them how I felt. I told them what was right. And I told them how they're being. And I told them I don't want to have anything to do with them anymore because I can't trust them. And that's it. You think I'm going to sit there for 2 hours and let them tell me how they did all of this work? And when I came back from my shed and a holiday and my shed was robbed, I thought, oh, my God, my book. I don't need to hear all of that. It's never going to put you in right standing.
May I ask a question of everybody in the room? Anyone who showed up to any of the book editing process, did you ever show up under the misapprehension that you were coming to listen to or help with QE and Adam's book?
No.
Anyone?
No. And that's what that was bothering me too about the Ghost Rider stuff. And I even joked that I stopped.
Unfortunately, that was my point. But it kind of got side-blinded by you and Brian's thing. At the end of the day, number one, what is QE going to say? Those are my arguments reworded. Hey, fuck stick. Guess what? You're the one that told me that the Black Swan is not your argument the moment it crosses my lips when I'm in a debate or a conversation with someone else. I am taking ownership of the Black Swan and it doesn't belong to you at that point. So which one is it? Someone who's debating, they're debating on their own merits and their own arguments and ability to actually back up what they're saying? Or is it your arguments? Because you said, take these arguments and make them yours. They're not my arguments. I'm not going to be here forever.
Yeah, but he simultaneously wants, when you use that argument, him to be credited as the orator of the argument, and therefore it's his. So he wants it both ways, Eli. He wants you out there arguing what he calls his arguments and taking ownership in them and doing a good job with them, but then ultimately he wants them to be his arguments. That's what he's done with this book. You're saying, right, so we're talking about the story of Flat Earth debate. I've put some factual information into the book, polished up the rhetoric with the arguments that have originated with QE, therefore it's his. That's his logic.
No, so that means every educator that educated you in anything, that they deserve credit on your book.
It means that the box. It means that the boxer's trainer actually won the fight. That's what it means. I want my name in lights above the fight arena when you're punching the other man in the face. That's what QE's asking for.
Well, now listen, when they come into the ring, it's Team Tyson or Team Holyfield, but who's the main guy on there? It's the guy doing the fighting, okay? Who's been doing the fighting for 10 years? Have they been helpful? Of course, without their knowledge. Come on. We all respect their knowledge.
This is why they came and asked, right? They'd asked and said, can we get acknowledged? This is how they approached it with me. And I went, yeah. So it went from 10th saying, you just can't acknowledge anybody. You'll be here all day and it'll lose focus. So just don't acknowledge anybody. Not even me. Just don't bother. If you've got an example where you need to talk about what Simon Dan did, just don't use his name. Just give the example and then it won't be about Simon Dan. So just don't reference anybody. Now, after about 6 months of helping me, they went, really, we should be acknowledged. I went, all right, fair enough. And yeah, we need a bit in the book where it says contributors Adam Meakin and Quantum Eraser. I went, yeah, right. So I agreed. So everything carries on. So there's an agreement that they will be acknowledged. No problem. Then, no, we want to be co-authors. Oh, well, then you can potentially usurp me in terms of the ownership of this book. It's suddenly not passed down in my family name as my book, which is what was created. And John just asked the question. I'll ask it again. People who came in and helped with the book, who was under the misapprehension that it was QE's book or John or Adam's book? Was anybody under the impression that it was anything other than mine when it was in my...
No.
Right. What was on every single page as it was being written? Or rewritten, if they want to suggest that it was rewritten from scratch, which it wasn't. What's it based on? In Adam's own words, the skeleton is the story of me and Flat Earth debate for 10 years. Oh, what, you've written that from scratch, have you? What the fuck is he talking about? Brian's delusional if he thinks that the work which is being done about the story of me is suddenly theirs. But that's how QE sees things, isn't it? Well, you wouldn't be arguing these things unless I'd given you that. Well, that might be true. So part of the story of my journey involves you. That doesn't make it your story.
Hold on there. However, the QE could have written a story about him and his journey.
Yes.
Through.
Yeah.
And that would have been acceptable.
Alternatively, that would have been highly acceptable. I'd have been annoyed. Oh, you don't want to help me anymore. It's too much work. No, they didn't do that. They just continually lied to me about helping me. They weren't. They were helping themselves and demanding gratitude for working towards their own ends because they weren't helping me. They were helping themselves make their names on my book. They just didn't tell me. So they're deceitful. They'd already gained an agreement in terms of what they would get. They'd acknowledged it verbally, shockingly, because I've recorded it all. So I can just go back and go, here you go, here's you acknowledging exactly what you would get. Oh, you want more now? Now it's done, you want more? Selfish bastards, pair of them. They deserve to be seen the way they will be seen, as thieves and cheats and robbers, because that's what they've done. Lied continuously to my face. So I'm not pissed off at Brian, although he's going to take the brunt of it. He's done it so many times, that's why he's put the phone down. He's probably sick of me shouting at him, because he doesn't deserve it, and he doesn't deserve it. He's the only one who's been honest in this regard. He turned around and went, no, I don't want to help you write your book. So I won't. They went, oh yeah, we do want to help you write your book. Be grateful for all the time we're giving up for you and your book. All right, okay, thank you very much, I say. No, actually, no, that's not what we want once 90% of the work's done. Well, all they've actually done is set me back, cost me time.
Yeah, and that's what they were hoping on, Nathan, that you would buckle under the pressure of all this time it's costed you.
What, as they blackmailed
me?
me?
To go back and redo everything.
Yeah, Brian's under the impression still, because they're telling him that they've got control of a Word document. Unfortunately for those two idiots, I've documented the entire process. The reason I'm yelling at Brian that it's the 5th draft is because I can prove that fact.
Yeah, I don't understand that it's a total different book thing. I do not get that at all. That drives me insane. Because they also said, well, give them back the book that Chuck's book. There is no Chuck's book, your book. It's all Nathan's book. I don't get it.
They're doing that thing where they try to rewrite history, recorded history, things that QE would make fun of people for. He's doing it now.
That's what makes it all the more crazy. That's what I'm saying. That nobody's thinking with their right mind on that side.
Yeah, what
Those
they're saying
two
is
are not thinking correctly.
what they're calling let's call it 3rd draft, 4th draft, doesn't matter. They're saying, well, that's Chuck's book, so it's separate. So then when we step in on the 5th draft, it's new, fresh as. No, but you can try and rewrite history. In the meantime, it's just the 5th draft of my book that you were supposed to be helping me with and demanding gratitude for the help you offered me, while you lied through your back teeth about what you were actually doing. You think you were writing your book? Well, why don't you just stick your names on it? Oh, because it's a story about me and flat earth debate, so it needs to be co-authors, so they're on the front of my book.
Here's another question. A year ago, had they not laid a hand on this 5th draft, with all of the updated arguments and everything carrying on the way it was, if it was just Nathan updating the book, would he not have seen the same issues that we all saw anyway?
I don't know what you're asking.
We can't ask that. We can't ask that because we can't go back.
No. With Nathan talking about leading, with Earth being measured flat, elevation angles. Would he have not done that himself?
You can't answer that. John's right. You're asking. It's like Brian wants to do. Well, had they ever approached you in a different way? It's like, well, they didn't, did they? What they did was blackmail me. Well, we've got the Word document. Yeah, you have. Well, so what? You're saying unless I accept that I kick you to the curb as editors and go through the recordings and transcribe it, well, that's going to cost me quite a lot of time that I haven't got. So what you're doing is saying you either give us your author credit on your book, or you'll have to go and transcribe it all. That's all they've really done. Okay, you think that the Word document's going to hold me back? Oh yeah, idiots. You didn't think I was recording the entire time? Obviously, you're a pair of retards then.
Assume you're always recording. Wait, let me get something straight. You said they came to you and asked you for more acknowledgement?
Yeah, co-authorship. That's more acknowledgement than was already agreed to.
Before that, you said they wanted to be acknowledged, and you said, yeah, fine. You'll acknowledge that they helped you, right? They came and asked you that?
Yeah.
I feel so naive right now, because how come I didn't understand this right from the beginning? I feel so stupid now, because they were never helping you, Nathan.
Yeah, that's the bit that cuts the deepest. They were telling me that they were helping me and telling me that they were giving up my time and telling me to be grateful, but they were never helping. And not only were they not helping, they were actually hindering me the entire time, weren't they? Now we know, obviously, they were nothing more than a massive hindrance.
Well, as a matter of fact, if they own the book, why would they be holding it hostage from you until you agreed to put their names on the book?
It's extortion. And just for the record, I've reported Adam to the police for exactly that. They are attempting to extort from me.
That's extortion. That's the definition of extortion, what they're doing. And,
yeah, and they arrest him. They throw him in jail because he's a scumbag. Adam is a scumbag. That's what he's doing. He knows he isn't entitled to it. That's why they've got to ask permission. And he's saying, we'll withhold this from you until you give us what we want. So extortion then. What a scumbag.
My sister-in-law and even my cousin, they're teachers, and they're the ones that understand what co-authorship means. That means you have a right to that. That's why they're asking for it. They want more than acknowledgement. They want to be able to possess it as their own. And like you say, down the road, and he even said it in passing, that he's going to be in a bar one day, and I was part of that book, and his children are going to be like, yeah, my dad helped write that book. So I'm wondering how far back this has gone that they were conspiring this. And I don't care what anybody thinks. That's how it went down.
John's question was the most pertinent. At any point, did anybody come in helping in the process? And you can hear it in all the recordings. There's dozens of people coming in, offering their assistance. At no point are they coming in and asking QE or John or Adam's permission for anything. At no point are any of the pages not labelled with my fucking name on them. They're just con men. What con man means? Not con man means. It means confidence man. So when they were giving me confidence in their assistance, they were fixing to rob from me the entire time. Con man.
It's interesting that little thing I wrote offended Adam so badly.
Anyway, I'm going to round out and get some sleep because I've got to go for a curry later.
Just so you guys are aware, this is one of those you'll know them by their fruits.
Yep.
Like, well, I hear Adam and say that about ballers being liars because they're idiots, and then it's like you know them by their fruits. Well, that's not their fruits; they're just idiots. This has intention.
Yep.
That's scary.
I don't really follow what you mean. Maybe I'm just too angry. What do you mean?
Well, you'll know them by their fruits. The intention behind it will be made clear by what comes to pass.
Yeah, Jesus said you'll know them by their fruits. Hold on, whether they be good fruit or bad fruit. Like a fig tree does not put forth apples, and an apple tree does not put forth figs. You'll know them by the fruits. What they're putting forth is deception, extortion, conniving. So what does that equal?
Yeah.
That they're con men and liars and deceitful.
John, but you knew that though, didn't you? Because it was already exposed. Adam lied, and you know that. And we chose to move along and forget about it, right? So at the end of the day, QE is smart enough to care because he's an egomaniac. Him not doing anything, to me, is an indictment on that. But we know that Adam lied. For what purpose? Who cares? Now, Nathan doesn't care, which is why he doesn't know a lot of the things a lot of the time. So he's out. I don't blame him. Neil is very passionate. I don't blame him. You and I have went through the process of figuring out that Adam is a liar. Yes or no?
Yes.
There you go.
And that's why it surprised me so much that when Adam was reading out that thing that was pretty much a big F you to what you're planning in the future, that was, it's like he wrote it to himself in response to Nathan's position. And like, it just felt like Bizarro World to me. I was like, dude, how are you not getting this? You're making it seem like it's aimed at Elijah, but it's really aimed at you, and you wrote it. How do you know what I mean? It seemed insane.
Yeah, what you're talking about is a disclaimer of who's owning the book, whose book it is, and the reason no one's getting a mention at all.
Yes, Yes, I was like, you. So Adam, that's your little contribution is to say that stuff. Like, but you're going to do exactly what the opposite. You know, it's like I don't know. Like when I heard it, like I just and then like you remember Eli because you were kind of taking it personal, like it was aimed at you, but it was really aimed at QE and Adam, and that's how Adam expressed it. It was so just weird to me. It still is. It's almost unbelievable.